insurance companies have teams of professionals to fight your claim. If you want to know what your case is really worth, I'm Spencer Callahan. I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA filing number 16-7970.
WNXX, Jackson, KNXX, Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers, LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge.
Good morning, everybody. It is 7 a.m. on Tuesday, December 5th. Today in Baton Rouge, expect clear skies with a high of 69. Coming up on OTB, Kim Mulkey joins the show at 7:30. We have a new edition of OTB Mailbag at 8:15, and we talk Saints with Nick Underhill and New Orleans Football at 9 a.m. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at OTB_ESPN, or catch us on YouTube at the 1045 ESPN channel. Hour number 1 of Off the Bench, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, starts now.
Let we go! All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert. Yeah! Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, P, they said I got to come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo.
Yo, and welcome in to OTB. Happy Tuesday morning, everyone listening out there. Glad to be with you for the next 3 hours. Jake, Mario, and Taylor here with you. Again, no T-Bob Hebert. T-Bob going to be out all week. He is at Disney with his crew, but we move along because, well, we've got a lot to get to. I mean, this is a great time of the year, and even more so when you've got all the things going on in college athletics. But before we do that, we always go around the room, get a little bit of a vibe check. And I'm going to assume with Mario, after the Pelicans last night, which we'll get to later on, feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I feel great, man. I was tired yesterday, normal Monday blues, but I went home. I had an awesome nap. I stayed up kind of late watching sports, and between the Pelicans game and the Monday night game, it was a pretty good night of sports, man. Shout out to the Pelicans. Semifinals going to Vegas.
Yeah, no question about it. I watched that game as well. Did a really nice job of closing the game out. And again, we'll get to the game in detail a little bit later on. Only thing bad about Monday night, though, Trevor Lawrence got hurt, so now the Jags can't make the playoffs.
Oh, dude, I saw all the memes. It was like, despite the fact
as
that they're
as he went down,
place,
I was like, oh, this is
know.
about to blow up. And
I saw another one that said the college football playoff committee said Germany won World War II because it was a quality loss. So that was a good one, too.
It actually wasn't a bad game. I mean, the Bengals found a way, obviously, with Jake Browning. Big week for Washington quarterbacks, former and current, and they went out there and won, still keep their playoff hopes alive. And so pretty good Monday night football game last night. Certainly the Pelicans winning by 10 on the road in Sacramento as they continue on in the in-season tournament, all things that we will get to. But here, a show in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, plays throughout Louisiana. How could we not start with it being officially official? Jaden Daniels is a Heisman finalist. He will be in New York City. Now, that's no surprise, but look, after the last couple of days, you just never know in college football. And there was a surprise when it came to the Heisman Trophy finalists. You have Jaden Daniels. You have Bo Nix. You have Michael Penix Jr. All those were expected to be there. Now, like what order they're going to finish in, like we assume Jaden Daniels is going to win the Heisman. I mean, that's what the odds tell you. That's, what the stats kind of tell you. But, Bo Nix, Michael Penix, maybe Penix finished the second in this deal. We don't know. Like talking to people in the press box on Saturday in Atlanta, a lot of people have Heisman votes. They weren't really sure what they were going to do. Certainly at number 3. Number 3 was a real big sticking point. I thought it was going to be 3 people. I thought it was going to be 3 people in New York, but Marvin Harrison Jr. is also going to be in New York as a Heisman finalist. And I probably realized that over the last, for sure, 2 months, you probably turned on the show and thought, does he not like Marvin Harrison Jr.? And that is not the case. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is a really good football player. I think he's going to play for a very long time. but he's going to be a Heisman Trophy finalist. And at the end of the day, we could all say, does it really matter? He's not going to win it. We could, because he's not going to win it. But it's a big deal to get to New York, and I'm just surprised that Marvin Harrison Jr., who right now, when it comes to the Biletnikoff Award finalist, right, the other two guys have more catches than him. The other two guys have more yards than him, right? He's got one more touchdown than one of the other, Malik Neighbors. He's tied with Rome Odunze, and we could go stat for stat. Receptions for first downs. Malik Neighbors has 69. Rome Odunze has 60. Marvin Harrison has 51. I mean, just the metrics and the analytics of it, it's very surprising. Now, a Biletnikoff Award, it's not that surprising. Should it be the case? It shouldn't, but it's not that surprising. That happens all the time in these individual awards, and we've talked about it with the Thorpe Award, with the Doak Walker Award. Sometimes you win the award the year after you should. Well, that's probably the case in the Biletnikoff this year with Marvin Harrison Jr. Again, a lot of preseason narrative. I hate saying that his name, is a big deal because he's such a great player, but it doesn't hurt. We'll say that. It does not hurt that your name is Marvin Harrison Jr. And so if he wins the Biletnikoff, I personally don't think he should. I think it should be Malik Neighbors, and it shouldn't really even be close. But if he does, we've seen that happen before. But maybe even more so surprised that he's going to be in New York as a Heisman finalist when he hasn't been the best receiver in college football. You can make a really strong argument that he's been the fourth best receiver in college football. I would add Troy Franklin from Oregon into that list. And so that was probably the thing that surprised me the most, was that he was included. That means that enough voters put him on their ballot for him to justify being in New York City. Fellas, I'll throw this one to you. I'm surprised. Again, the Biletnikoff stuff, even though that should not happen, Malik Neighbors should absolutely win the Biletnikoff. What he's done, and he's done it at LSU. He didn't do it at Directional School U. He's done it at LSU. He's dominated every game that he's been in. He should win the Biletnikoff. But if he doesn't, we've seen this happen so many times before. Don't love it, but it happens all the time. Heisman Trophy for Marvin Harrison Jr. to get to New York, that surprised me.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great injustice. We broke it down for a while now, but, not really surprised for the reasons you said. His name, the narrative being written, Ohio State being Ohio State, it kind of is what it is.
Look, I'm a little irritated by this as well. Like you mentioned, what have we been talking about? It's Malik should win the Biletnikoff. This guy's not even the best receiver in college football, and you're talking about him being a Heisman Trophy finalist. So many times people are like, well, you can't hold his name against him. I get that 100%. He's a great player, but you can't act like there's no bias involved either. It's one of those things where it's like, you're putting him as a Heisman finalist because of what you think of him, what you think of his dad, and how he projects at the next level, not necessarily what he did. The Heisman Trophy is a merit-based award. That's what we've talked about all year. It doesn't matter how good your team is with Jaden Daniels. He's been the best player. It is a merit-based award. This is the opposite, where it's like, he doesn't really deserve to be there statistically. You could make a good argument, and hate to say it because he plays for Alabama, you should make a good argument that Jalen Milroe
would not have been surprised.
Jalen Milroe should be there over Marvin Harrison Jr., in my opinion.
A lot of Heisman voters that I talked to would not have been surprised. They were holding off on putting their ballot in, which I think you should. You should watch everything. The totality of everything that you have available to you, watch it, and then make your decision. But a lot of people were holding off. They were in a situation where they had their first two figured out, and they were waiting for number three because they wanted to see what was going to happen. So if Jalen Milroe ended up in New York, certainly if there's four guys and he was maybe the fourth, no surprise whatsoever. Just when you look at what they've done on the field, we rolled through a couple of the stats, and a lot of people are like, well, Malik Neighbors, he just got so many targets. He only has 10 more targets than Marvin Harrison Jr. 124 to 114, and still had all of the yards, right? Same amount of drops. One of the other ones, 25-plus yard receptions, 17 for Rome Odunze, 13 for Marvin Harrison Jr., 23 for Malik Neighbors. Let's go to Pro Football Focus grades, something we do a lot here on Off the Bench. 86.8 for Rome Odunze, 89.9 for Marvin Harrison Jr., 93 for Malik Neighbors, the highest graded, of course, in the country. Completion percentage, right? When you throw to him, how many times is the ball completed? What's that percentage? 64% for Rome Odunze, 69.4% for Malik Neighbors, 58.7% for Marvin Harrison Jr. It boggles the mind. It really does. I don't understand why we have to have an award that we base off last year, that we base off preseason narrative. And LSU has benefited from this before. This is not the LSU guy yelling for an LSU player to win a national award. LSU's benefited. But why is it like that? Why can't it be what you did this current season, what you did on the field this year? Why do you have to go with someone that's got the build-up before you get to award season? Like, it's almost like a prerequisite. Like, you have to have that kind of build-up if you want to win these national awards. And it's a big deal. It's a big deal everywhere. I know it is here at LSU. Like, if Malik Neighbors won the Biletnikoff, he would have his name on the side of Tiger Stadium on a huge plaque next to the likes of Tyrann Mathieu, Glenn Dorsey, Devin White, Joe Burrow, Billy Cannon. Like, that's the company that he would be in, right? Tiger Stadium, one of the most iconic stadiums in the world for us, certainly in the country, certainly in college football. Like, those are the things that we're talking about. And, you know, for whatever reason, Marvin Harrison Jr. continues to get, again, because I want this to be overstated. I want to say it so many times you're sick of me saying it. He is a hell of a football player. He's really, really good. He's probably still going to be the first receiver off the board. Now, Malik's made it an interesting conversation when you look at draft experts. He deserves to be praised for his play because he has gone out there many times over his college career and dominated, but he wasn't the most dominant this year. So for him to get to New York City, that was highly surprising for me. And look, I'm not saying Malik Neighbors should have been in New York City. Now, if you're going to take a receiver, we can certainly have that argument. And maybe it takes away votes from Jaden Daniels, right? The guy that is probably going to win the Heisman Trophy. But when you bring a receiver, and it's not the best receiver in the country, then you're going to get asked questions. All right, I did not mean for that to turn into that. I was going to celebrate Jaden Daniels being in New York City and the, without question, Heisman Trophy front runner. So let's talk a little bit about that. Also, more quarterbacks in the transfer portal. We'll tell you which ones are the latest into that transfer portal. We'll do it all when we come back. It is OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, go to ktzblinds.com, k2zblinds.com. That's ktozblinds.com. I told you yesterday I am incredibly excited. I'm about to have my backyard is about to get that upgrade that I'm talking about, right? We're about to get our screen that's going to help us block out the sun, block out the bugs, change kind of our space depending on what we want. Like if we want more shade, if we want to open it up, it's just a press of one single button and that's going to happen. And for us, right, well, Brandon came out and I just assumed you were going to give us a shade to keep the bugs out. It was going to be pretty thin. There was going to be one color to choose from, probably going to be a black screen. When he came in, and it was like 5 minutes, by the way, he knew exactly what we needed. Said, no, the sun sets here. If you want to block out that sun, you're going to need this screen, and you're going to need this one in this area, right? And he measured it, no time at all. And also, I got to choose what color. Had no idea there was going to be multiple options. Had them come out today. Go to the website, k2zblinds.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045espn.com.
Ram 1500 trucks. $20,000 off plus no payments for 90 days on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level.
Join me for a Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Glenn West talking Tigers, and apparently the Pelicans are in the semis of some tournament I never heard of. We'll ask Sharif about it. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The mood is right, the spirit's up. We're here tonight, and that's enough. Simply having a wonderful Christmas time. Simply having a wonderful Christmas time.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back into OTB. Now we've talked about over the last couple of days, quarterbacks in the transfer portal. And yesterday was a big day. Yeah, Cal McCord, Ohio State, they're getting ready to play a Cotton Bowl against Mizzou. He puts himself into the portal. A lot of people asking the question, why? One of the things that a lot of people assume that it is one of these other quarterbacks in the transfer portal, well, probably has his eyes set on Columbus and probably, is leaning towards the Buckeyes. Maybe Kyle McCord gets wind of that, maybe has conversations with the coaches, and maybe he decides to put himself into the portal. You don't see a lot of 11-1 quarterbacks in the Big Ten after starting the entire season put themselves in the portal, but obviously we're in a different time in college football. One of those quarterbacks that's been attached to Ohio State is Cam Ward from Washington State. He was a top 5 passer in the country as far as yards. He's a dual threat kind of guy. Now, he can throw any route in the route tree, but he does have the ability to run. So when we say dual threat, don't get that confused with he's a runner. He is somebody that can make plays with both his arms and, just one arm. I mean, he probably could, put in his left hand and maybe run the football, but he can do it both ways, arm and legs there. So maybe that's a situation that played out in Columbus. We don't know that. We'll certainly find out over the next couple of days, because yesterday was that day that it became officially official for the transfer portal. Another name we talked about, Dylan Gabriel. Now, he's been tied to Oregon. He's been tied to Mississippi State. That makes all the sense in the world. Now, you could ask, why would you go from Oklahoma to Mississippi State? Well, remember, Jeff Lebby, 2019, was with Dylan Gabriel his freshman year at UCF, where he threw for 3,600 yards. So he had a lot of success with Jeff Lebby down in Orlando. Then he goes to Oklahoma when Jeff Lebby finds his way there after his Ole Miss stint, and he had, well, his best year of his career this year. Last year was injured, didn't play a full season. So, okay, not a lot of people, and that's not throwing shade at Mississippi State. That's just it is what it is, right? Oklahoma, big brand, national brand. Why would you leave to go somewhere that a lot of people would consider a smaller school? Well, because you've had your best years with Jeff Lebby. And so if you want to continue that, maybe continue to improve your draft stock, then that's what you do. So we'll watch that one to see if that plays out, because that could be another big name going to a new place in the SEC because, Oklahoma's going to be in the SEC next year. Tyler Buckner, I know Taylor appreciated this story. So he's actually committed back to Notre Dame, except it's not, Taylor, going to be in football.
No, he's in the transfer portal as a lacrosse player. And I don't know if that's ever happened where a guy entered the portal to change schools and sports. But it was funny. The Alabama lacrosse team had a little bit of fun with it yesterday. They were like, why leave? Why don't you just stay here and play lacrosse for us? It was a fun little thing by their social media page. I've never seen that before. But, me and Mario were talking about it. It's like, do you see him in the South Florida game? Like, he probably should go play lacrosse. But he's apparently really good at it in high school. So,
oh, yeah. He was committed to Michigan in 8th grade, I saw, for lacrosse. Does Alabama have lacrosse?
They had an Alabama lacrosse Twitter
Gotta
page.
be club.
I'm sure it's a club sport. Yeah.
I know, like, Kentucky and Florida have men's soccer, and they play. God, they played in the Big East. They might have played in Coosa as well. I know that they'll obviously play in the SEC. We don't have men's soccer in the SEC, but I thought maybe as a situation like that, probably a club sport. I think he has higher aspirations for his lacrosse career. Nothing wrong with club lacrosse, but if you were committed to Michigan in the 8th grade, you're probably pretty good at lacrosse.
I know Syracuse is usually really good. That's like the
North
extent
Carolina,
of my lacrosse knowledge.
Virginia.
Yeah, Virginia, Duke.
James Madison feels like they're probably good. Johns Hopkins.
Yeah, they're probably good at it, right?
Either of y'all or anybody in the chat ever play lacrosse competitively?
No, it looks
seems like
hard.
it looks really difficult.
It looks very difficult.
It wasn't even available for us in high school.
I don't even know where you could play.
Right when I was leaving high school, some of the bigger 5A schools in Shreveport were like testing it out, like putting their toe in the water, kind of like to see if they had enough interest to have a lacrosse team. I know, like, I think New Orleans, maybe there's a couple of the Catholic schools that.
Yeah, Brother Martin has a good lacrosse
I'm sure
program.
Catholic has lacrosse. I'm sure they're good at it too. I don't know.
I watched.
That's about all I got.
Nah, Brother Martin was solid. I watched a few of the games during Saturday detention. Like whenever they were too lazy to make us do stuff, we would just.
Why are you in detention?
Stupid stuff, having your shoes untied. Brother Martin stuff.
Wait. You had to go to Saturday detention for having your shoes untied?
Yes. In fairness to the disciplinarian, he had to tell me twice, but that is an actual thing that happened. Saturday school for shoes untied.
Did you have to go for your shirt untucked as well?
Probably, yeah. If you're a multiple-time offender, I'm sure.
Oh, my God. Okay. Well, we'll have to unpack that during one of the breaks. Quarterback transfer news that could potentially involve LSU here. MJ Morris, North Carolina State quarterback, put himself in the portal a couple days ago. He's been attached to LSU as far as interest from both parties. Now, it doesn't mean he's coming here. It doesn't mean he's committed. It just means that there is interest from both LSU and MJ Morris. If you're wondering who that is, he's a quarterback that played in 4 games a year ago. Now, if you ask why he only played in 4 games, because he wanted to save his red shirt. After, I guess, he kind of saw the way the season was going, he wanted to make sure that he had another year. Now, he was the guy for those 4 games. Against Miami, 11 of 21, 123 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Against Clemson, in a win, by the way, against Miami, and a win against Clemson as well, 11 of 20, 138, 2 touchdowns. Against Duke, 24 of 40, 193 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. And against Marshall, 17 of 32, 265, 4 tuds, and 3 picks. So MJ Morris finished the year 719 yards, 7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Now, this is somebody that, if you're bringing in a transfer quarterback to add competition, to bring in a quarterback that does something different than Garrett Nussmeier, not the same quarterback. That's kind of what we talked about. Like, if you brought a guy in, it felt like, and y'all correct me if y'all had a different thought process, but when we were talking about it maybe last week, 2 weeks ago when T-Bob was here, if you brought in a guy, it was probably going to be someone like this. I mean, you could go back and check the tape. We said it's probably going to be somebody that started games in college, probably not a superstar, probably somebody that you felt was very solid, right? So you kind of tell Garrett Nussmeier, hey, you're our guy. Now we've got this other guy that started games in a Power 5 conference, so you got to come to work every single day like Garrett Nussmeier has his entire career. But just to have a veteran guy there, you push your starter a little bit in training camp, and then if something happens, right, Garrett Nussmeier, knock on wood, gets hurt. If Garrett Nussmeier, for whatever reason, isn't playing the way that you thought he was going to play, if he, gets hit and is out for 2 series, whatever it might be, like, this is the kind of quarterback that we talked about bringing in. And there's probably going to be other names attached to LSU. We don't know those names, but this is the first one that I've seen LSU's name attached to, and it's kind of in the mold that we thought it would be. Again, a guy that's gone out and, been a starter, had some good numbers, nothing super solid, but, been competitive, goes out there, beats Miami, beats Clemson. Duke was a game that got away from them incredibly early, and they didn't play well in that game, but this always kind of felt like the kind of guy that you were going to bring in. If you go back to 2022, to kind of give you an idea of who he was in that season, those for 648, 7 touchdowns, only 1 interception. So those numbers went up to interceptions, and remember, he threw 3 in the Marshall game alone, but this always felt like the direction that you were going to go in. So we'll pay attention, see if that continues to grow legs there. But correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Is that kind of what you thought LSU would be after? Again, like, if you're talking like superstar quarterback and that's who you go after, that would surprise me if you did. A lot of teams are going after superstar quarterbacks. I mean, Kyle McCord is probably leaving, in my opinion, Ohio State because they're going to get a superstar. But you've groomed Garrett Nussmeier for a very long time. You're very confident in Garrett Nussmeier. And if you brought a quarterback in, my thought process was it was going to be someone who has a resume kind of like MJ Morris.
This is exactly the type of quarterback I thought they were going to bring in. And look, this is not an endorsement of Garrett Nussmeier, even though I really like Garrett Nussmeier. You can't bring one of these, top profile guys. They're going to want to be like, I need a guaranteed starting spot. You can't guarantee them a starting spot at LSU. You're going to give Garrett Nussmeier every opportunity to win this job. I mean, we talked about guys like this. I mentioned Brendan Sorsby last week, the freshman transfer from Indiana. Similar mold to this guy. Like, numbers don't jump off the page at you, but they've started double-digit games in college. They've had solid numbers, have limited turnovers for the most part. I know MJ Morris had some issues with him this past season, but yeah, a guy in this mold, a guy that has played games, has had experience, but he's not one of those guys that's going to come in and demand a starting spot.
Yeah, maybe I'm overthinking it, but the only thing is I feel like LSU will want to get somebody who's a little different stylistically than Nussmeier. Like, they went and got Jaden Daniels when they had guys like Miles Brennan on the team, even going back to when they had like Brandon Harris, and they went and got Danny Etling, who was like more static, more pocket passer, right? I see that Morris only has 88 rushing yards this year, so maybe he doesn't fit that mold. But, yeah, they definitely should be active in the portal.
All right, let's get ready to take a break. But before we do, a couple of comments inside the Bayou 4 chat. Daniel Basham says, Mario, I feel your pain. We went to detention if we had any logos on our socks or our shirts were untucked. Matt C. says, went to Holy Cross. I feel your pain. Talks about the NOLA Catholic School disciplinarians taking no mercy. Says, until my junior year, we weren't allowed to wear ankle socks.
Jesus, man.
What?
Yeah.
What'd you wear?
You couldn't wear ankle socks?
That's just on campus.
You had to wear crew socks?
That's just on campus, too. Like, they're insane. They'll follow you, like, into the night on the weekend.
Daniel Basham, we couldn't talk at lunch from lower elementary all the way up to middle school. If we did, we wouldn't get our hour-long Friday recess.
You couldn't talk at lunch? What prison did he go to school at?
Yeah, that's insane, dude. We had, like, silent lunch during Lent. Like, during Fridays, can't talk.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I went to Evangel. It was a private school. I'm trying to think, like, we, have a belt. That was one. You couldn't have a beard. You try to get away with literally anything you could. Like, it's where the soul patch came in.
Yeah.
Like, can I get away with the smallest soul patch so I can have facial hair? But they would bring out, like, the old one-blade Bic razor.
Yeah, we had that.
Maybe you got shaving cream. Maybe.
You
Probably
had to go
not.
to the bathroom and shave.
And
yeah.
you had to shave on the spot, or you had to go home. Hair couldn't touch the eyebrows, the ears, or your collar.
So your school is similar to mine, and I went to public school. But
I didn't know they could do that in public school.
Oh, yeah, we did that. And it was like you had to wear a belt. Your shirt had to be tucked in. As far as socks, it was like no bright colors, but they were pretty lenient with that. Like, you're not getting Saturday detention for having your shoe untied. I've never heard of that. Most of the time, it's like you get a write-up, and after 3 or 4 of these write-ups, then you get a normal after-school detention or something like that. So they were a lot more lenient, but we had some rules like that.
It did not go well for one of my boys when he had long hair, grew it out over the summer, came back, and they're like, what are you doing? You can't have long hair here at Evangel. And he wore a button that said Jesus had long hair and a beard. And that did not go over very well with the administration, although it was funny as hell to the students. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Coach Kim Mulkey joins us here on OTB.
Off the bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, go to All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com, All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com. Whether you're buying new, if you're leasing, or if you're checking out that rental department that we tell you about every single day, just know that the full fleet is available in every single thing that we talk about with All-Star. So no matter what you're looking for, if you want a full-size SUV, you need it for your big crew. Well, they got the Sequoia. If you'd rather go to the minivan game, they've got the Sienna. But if you just want a midsize SUV, and also I tell you this, the midsize SUVs are bigger than you're probably thinking right now. Like for me, I've got a Highlander, and y'all know, look, we've got a huge family, but it works for us, right? We can check out the Highlander. We can check out the 4Runner, some different options there. So go see them today. Go see it for yourself. See what fits your needs, your family's needs. You know they got sedans. You know they got hybrids. They've got the trucks, the Tundra, the Tacoma, something for everybody, and all the processes that we talk about every single day. All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find them on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Brian Kelly meets with reporters to update bowl prep and the portal latest. And Sean Salisbury joins us. It's AFR 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back into OTB. One of our favorite things to do every single week, and lucky to do it. We have Coach Kim Mulkey join us every single Tuesday. Coach, we appreciate your time as always. Hope you're doing well this morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm doing great. Thank you.
All right, Coach, so let's go back to last week, and I know you have already moved forward, but this is our first time to talk to you since you get a victory 82-64 over Virginia Tech. And before we get to maybe what happened on the court, the atmosphere yet again, I mean, I think it was right at 11,000 people inside the PMAC. I know that, you know, you have to enjoy being able to come home after a great trip on the Cayman, right? You go and you have success there playing basketball against, well, another team from Virginia, and then to come back home, Final Four rematch, and to have the atmosphere you had inside the PMAC.
Well, let's back up and talk about the Cajuns. My goodness, what a victory we had against Virginia. You're watching a lot of injuries here early on different top teams, and people are getting beat because they don't have their full squad. We go into that Virginia game minus 3 players, and for us to hang on and compete, I had players playing out of position. It was just a gutsy performance, and as I told the team after the game, that's going to go down as one of my most memorable victories because of the situation. We come back, Angels back, and, we had a great crowd, terrible weather, 8 o'clock TV game. A lot of people could have stayed home. Appreciate the crowd. The students, they're just, it's off the charts, all the students that come to our games. And we really bowed our neck and guarded, even though we're still a work in progress on the defensive end. I just thought we were just tough and physical, and we beat a very good Virginia Tech team.
Coach, what is that matchup like for y'all? And one of the things I always enjoy talking with you about is different matchups. I remember going back to your first year here, and you played, I believe it was Florida Gulf Coast, and they were a team that was going to give you trouble. And you talked about it before the game because of the style they played at that time, and y'all were still trying to figure out maybe the rotation of how y'all wanted to work some things out. With Virginia Tech size and Kitley there in the middle of it, like, what's that matchup for you and your team? Like, do you change anything? Like, what's maybe different about that matchup than the others you've had?
Well, that matchup actually is a little bit better for us because Angel Reese and Aaliyah Del Rosario, our freshmen, they can match up with Kitley in size. Florida Gulf Coast spreads the floor on you, and they're smaller, and you just have to go outside and guard at the 3, and they take you off the dribble. It's not a conventional type of lineup, and that's why they're so good, and I have so much respect for their coach. But, Amore and Kitley, those two carried them to the Final Four last year, and you knew you were going to have to defend them. And I just thought that, Kitley ended up fouling out, but I thought we competed at the other 3 positions as well. They had, I shouldn't say one of them was a starter, so they had 3 starters back from last year's team. And I just thought our activity on the defensive end created a lot of havoc for them.
And, Coach, when you look at what your team did as far as scoring, I mean, really spread the wealth. Angel had 19, Morrow had 19, Williams had 20. I mean, Flau'jae had 13. I mean, really spread the wealth, right? Really passed the basketball around, really took great shots, it felt like it. And for a team that hasn't really had the chance because of injuries and not having the totality of your roster, I thought it was pretty impressive what the chemistry looked like on the court against Virginia Tech.
I appreciate you mentioning that. I think so many times people forget we can score the ball, and we can score the ball quickly. We have 6 kids, if you count Samaya Smith before her injury. We have 6 of them averaging in double figures. And so if you're going to be a very successful team with this much talent and each of them has that scoring ability, they've got to sacrifice a little bit. I can't tell you how I'm proud of all of them right now, but I'm really impressed with Flau'jae Johnson. Here's a young lady that was freshman of the year in the league last year, and she's one of our top rebounders. She wants her overall game to get better. She wants to be known as a defensive person. She wants to be known as that third rebounder after our post for us. And it's just amazing to watch the growth of a young lady like that, realizing it's not all about scoring. And I hope we grow. I can't wait to watch this team get better and better. We spent an entire practice yesterday doing 2 things: film room and defense. We picked up the ball only to do position play. And if we ever figure it out on the defensive end, I really, really think we can be fun to watch.
Now, Coach, another player that we haven't talked about yet, Haley Van Lith. This is somebody that last year averages 19 points. This year, down to 12 points. But when you look at her assists, right, they've gone up by 2 full assists this year already from what it was a year ago. And one of the first times we talked to you this year, you mentioned her role changing a little bit, and it looks like she's starting to not that she hasn't always bought into the role, but buy into it and starting to figure out exactly who she's going to be on this team.
You said it best. On this team, when she was at Louisville, Haley was a player that basically took a lot of shots, and she needed to for them. She's going to get her shot. She can score the ball. She plays both point guard and off guard for us. And against Virginia Tech the other night in the second half, I didn't put Poa back in at point because I liked the flow of the 3 perimeter players that was on the court. So she never got to go back to the off guard, which is where you're going to do a lot of your scoring. And I told her after the game, you don't realize that you just played one of your finer games because you have not played point guard.
Yeah.
And I said, your value and your stock will go up when the next level, the WNBA and professional people see this young lady we know can put up a lot of shots. She did at Louisville. But, man, if she can just distribute the ball, lead us out there, be the coach on the floor, they want to see that. And she's fighting the plantar fasciitis right now, and that kid gutted it out and had to guard him more. But, man, did she gut it out.
Oh, Coach. Okay. I see. I didn't know that. I've had that before. We're about to play the Broncos on Monday night, and we put the wrong cleats on, our equipment guy. And so I'm in warm-ups, and I heard the bottom of my foot pop. I had no idea what was going on. I take the cleat off. It's black and blue, and they try to put this special tape job. That felt like I was running on just a pile of rocks with every step. So if you're dealing with that, Coach, I'm giving you the ultimate toughness badge.
Let me tell you, that kid literally is dealing with it. She just, and I mean, think about it. You know when your feet and your back hurt as athletes, man, it affects your play. And she's the one that guarded more the entire second half. And I have so much respect for her toughness. I have so much respect for her pain tolerance. Young people today, they would never fight through that, and she just wants to play. And so we're having to keep her off the floor during practice, to get it well. And it will get well. You know that it will, but it's just painful.
Oh, that is great to hear, though, fighting through the pain out there for her squad. All right, Coach, so you've got 5 games before you get into SEC play, including 3 games against, in-state schools in ULL, McNeese, Northwestern State. What do you want to see from your team as you get ready for SEC play? You got 5 opportunities, again, 3 in-state games. I'm sure that, your players know some of those players. They certainly know who LSU is. What do you want to see your team get done in these 5 games as they get ready for conference play?
I want to see what I saw on the floor yesterday at practice. one of the greatest compliments that was ever paid to me. I've had many in my life. I've been blessed. But Leon Barmore said it the other night after the 700th victory when they did a little tribute video. He said, Kim, you're the greatest practice coach I've ever been around. I want our practices to be harder than games. And if they will transfer what we're doing on the court and practice defensively to a game, I just want to sit back and watch that. We have length on the perimeter. We have athletes out there. We have unbelievable talent, and I want to watch 5 of them just get after it and make it very difficult. And we'll get better. We will. The only thing that's going to make you better is to be on the floor together. And we've got Angel back, and we need to just start flowing out there, and we will.
Coach, what was that like to have Angel back? You know, without a couple of games, one of the best players in the country, and to not only come back, but to play incredibly well. I have to imagine that was, as a head coach, to be able to insert her back into the lineup and really feel like you just don't miss a beat. And the way that she played against Virginia Tech, that, you know, kind of changes things.
I'm not surprised. I'm there every day. I think the people on the outside, the media, they all came, man, it's going to look bad. Oh, they don't speak. Oh, they're not. Are you kidding me? She couldn't hug me enough. It's just who we are. It's an internal deal, and it's a family, and people make so much out of it on the outside, and we just kind of internally laugh and do our job and continue on. And certainly it was great to have her back. She's loved in this community. I love her. It's just part of athletics. It's part of dealing with young people. And we're a better team because of her. She's a better person because of us, a better player because of us. It all goes hand in hand.
Yeah, very well said, and I agree with you there, Coach. All right, before we get you out, one of my favorite things to ask you about is maybe other sports. We've got a Heisman Trophy ceremony coming up on Saturday night in New York City. LSU's Jaden Daniels is going to be there. If Coach Kim Mulkey was voting for the Heisman Trophy, who would she vote for?
That's a done deal, brother. I mean, if that young man doesn't get the Heisman Trophy, something's wrong. He has proven himself, and I'm going to do an interview today about him and talk, and that's a no-brainer. I don't even think it should be a close race. But now, again, I'm partial because I get to see him every day or every week play. But if you just look at stats and you just look at what he's done from year 1 to year 2, that young man is a classic example. Improve in the areas that are your weaknesses. What was it, in my opinion, and I'm certainly not a football coach, this is speaking from the naked eye of someone who loves football. Last year, he didn't go through his progression of hitting receivers, and I thought, I'm going to get frustrated if I'm a receiver. He'd just tuck it and run. Mm-hmm. And then this year, to watch him look down the field and hit receivers and neighbors and all those guys, that tells you he took constructive criticism and said, we got to get better in this area. You're hurting our team. And boy, what a tremendous year he's had. What a tremendous amount of improvement from year 1 to year 2. I don't even think the race is close. And you know as well as I do, everybody's got an opinion. They're like belly buttons, right? I just think he's a shoe-in for it. If he's not, I would be shocked.
No, Coach, you're exactly right. He's certainly put the work in, and it showed on the field this year. One of the best seasons we've really ever seen at the quarterback position. Next time coming up, LSU taking on ULL inside of the PMAC. That comes up on December the 10th, a 2 o'clock tip. Make sure you're out there and cheer on this Tiger squad. Coach, we appreciate your time every single week. Thanks for hopping on with us, and thanks for adjusting time. I know y'all have practice maybe a little bit earlier today, so we appreciate it.
I'm heading to practice now. Y'all sleep in and have a good day.
All right, Coach. We appreciate it. Coach Kim Mulkey joins us every single week, and you best believe that that's a done deal, brother, is going to be clipped, and it's now going to be a drop on this show. Mario, can you please make sure you get that done because, well, that's one of the things that Coach does. She's one of the best basketball coaches to ever do it, and she is really, really good at interviews and one-liners. All right, we're going to take a break, wrap up hour number 1. When we come back here, it is OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
That's a done deal, brother. CommunitySteelCo.com is the website. Go there today for all of your steel needs. If you're, trying to erect a metal building, if you're trying to get a metal roof, right? That's in vogue now. Well, they can help you with that. Just trim, right? You want to outfit your space with metal trim. They can certainly help you there. Whatever your steel needs are, they're going to be able to help you at Community Steel. And they're going to be able to help you right now, like today. You know why? Because they don't have to call someone in Houston. They don't have to call somebody in Dallas. They don't have to call somebody in Austin or Atlanta or wherever. They're right here in Gonzales, Louisiana. They've got their new website up, and it tells you that. It's one of the things we love about them. They want you to know that they're here. They're local. They can help you today. Like when you call the number, it's not 888, right? It's 225. That's the area code, 225-647-2020. Talk with Community Steel today. Go see them in Gonzales, Louisiana. Go see them online, communitysteelco.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, party plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
His name was King. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw him ride. One day they found him.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $20,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. $20,000 off plus no payments for 90 days on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade, time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me, like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated.
For a Tuesday edition of Off the Bench, as Nick Underhill of NewOrleans.Football joins the show to talk Saints. Plus, we have a new edition of OTB Mailbag, and we look ahead to bowl season in college football. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m.
OTB, All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Always appreciate Coach Kim Mulkey's time. Always a lot of fun. Always look forward to that every single week. And the gift that keeps on giving. That's a done deal, brother. I don't know if y'all enjoyed that, but I just enjoy some of the one-liners she throws out there. The plantar fasciitis, Haley Van Lith playing through that, shout out. Now, that is brutal. I had to play through it. I was a fullback, and they weren't going to get rid of me because I had plantar fasciitis. All right, Haley Van Lith very easily because, well, she's a superstar. She could sit. But playing through that, I give her a lot of credit. It sucks. There's no other way to say it. It is not very fun. I mean, the bottom of your foot looks like Adam Sandler's in Mr. Deeds. Looks like you got frostbite. It's black on the bottom. They put this special tape job on your foot. Doesn't do anything. They put a metal plate in your cleat, so basically your foot can't bend. That's fun. Makes you feel real athletic when that happens. It's brutal. And again, like I remember doing mine. I remember hearing mine where, we put the long cleats in because it was raining in San Diego. When it rains in Southern California, people freak out because they don't know what to do, and had the wrong cleats in, hear it pop. Had to run down there on kickoff, though, because, again, you were not going to get me because of plantar fasciitis. I'll tell you this. Soon-to-be Pro Football Hall of Famer Antonio Gates, I think he missed 3 games because of plantar fasciitis. I mean, it is no joke. And so, Haley Van Lith, shout out to you for going out there and playing through that. All right, coming up in hour number 2, we've got Mailbag at 8:30. We're going to talk some Pels. We're going to talk some more college football. Stay locked in here to OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, go to patientplusuc.com, patientplusuc.com, and you will see, like we tell you every single day, a lot of locations spread throughout the Baton Rouge area because there's going to be a location that is near you, convenient for you in the Baton Rouge area. That's what Patient Plus is all about. They're all about your convenience in that inconvenient time, 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. every single day. And sometimes I even forget about it. I'll tell you a story a couple of weeks ago. I'm driving to one of my son's tackle football games. It's across town. It's a little bit later, and I passed by a Patient Plus. It was like 8:30. It's open. People are walking in. I'm like, I completely forgot that they stay open until 9 p.m. because when it hits the fan, it usually hits the fan, right? Like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, right before you're trying to hit dinner. And that's why they stay open late. They're there for you. You can schedule that appointment online, or walk-ins are always welcome. Find that information at patientplusuc.com. Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic. Get in and get better.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Good morning, everybody. It is a.m. on Tuesday, December 5th. Today in Baton Rouge, expect clear skies with a high of 69. Coming up on OTB, we have a new edition of OTB Mailbag later in the hour, and Nick Underhill of New Orleans Football joins the show at 9 a.m. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at OTB_ESPN, or catch us on YouTube at the 1045 ESPN channel and subscribe. Hour number 2 of Off the Bench, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, starts now.
Let we go! All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, P, they said I got to come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo.
Yo, welcome in. Hour number 2 of OTB. Jake Mario Taylor here with you. The forever early December vacationing T-Bob Hebert not going to be in this week. I'll be out actually Thursday and Friday. Mario, I think I actually will be here. Tomorrow.
Sweet.
I'll be out Thursday and Friday going to go cover Army-Navy, which I am highly excited about. This year's game is in Boston. Last year was in Philly. It's going to be tough to beat Philly. That Philly is the spot for that game, I feel like, and they did a great job of hosting. Going to go up there on Thursday. Going to do some shows for SiriusXM with my guy EJ Manuel. Looking forward to that. Also Ben Hartsock on Saturday game day. Now we're going to do the game day show from Foxborough, from Gillette Stadium, right outside of the stadium. It's going to be a lot of fun. Unfortunately, though, I'm not going to be able to go to the actual game. And, the pageantry of that game, all the pregame stuff is one of the reasons why it's one of the greatest things that we have in college football, but it's for a good reason. I'm going to hop on a train in Boston and head to New York City because, there's a quarterback that plays for LSU that's going to be a Heisman Trophy finalist. We already know that, and probably going to win the Heisman Trophy. So very excited for that. As much as I love Army-Navy, and it's one of the best things, again, that we have in college athletics, if you've never done it, check it off your bucket list. It is well worth it. It doesn't matter where the game is. It's worth the cost as well. Like whatever it costs to get to that game, if you love college football, you will love going to that game. But if I had to miss it, the one thing I don't mind missing it for is to see an LSU player potentially win a Heisman Trophy for the second time since 2019. Second time that you will have a Heisman Trophy winner, right? You only had one in your history before. Now, guys have gotten close. There's a lot of guys that finished second in Heisman voting. But you only had one. You had Billy Cannon. And you had Joe Burrow. And you're wondering, man, when's this going to happen again? Like you didn't feel like you were going to go, 50-something years between Heisman winners, but you didn't, come on. We didn't think it'd be 2019, then 2023. But now here you are in that position. And I bring it up to kind of ask this question to the fellas, to you inside the Bayou Ford chat, to you listening in if you want to hit us up on Twitter. What would you like to see LSU do now to parlay this success into the future? Now, national championship is the obvious one, but I'm talking about also just bringing in these type of players. when you have Heisman Trophy winners 2 of the last 5 years, right, you have to use that to your advantage in every single possible way. Look at the run Oklahoma had, right? You go Baker, you go Kyler, and you go Jalen Hurts. Now, Jalen didn't win it, but Jalen went to Oklahoma because, well, he saw Kyler and he saw Baker go there from Texas Tech, from Texas A&M, win Heisman trophies playing a playoff. Now, you couldn't find their defense with a search warrant, so they didn't win in the playoff, right? We can see that in a couple of different places, right? So you have to, have team success, but you open yourself up to players that you didn't have a path to before. That's why Jaden Daniels is here. He saw what Joe Burrow did, right? And that's no disrespect to any other quarterback that's come in here as a transfer. I'm not throwing shade at Andrew Hatch or Danny Etling or any of these other quarterbacks. I mean, Danny served his time as LSU starting quarterback. He had big moments as an LSU starting quarterback. But you open yourself up to bring in elite players, superstar players, guys with the highest potential. After you won in 2019, you had 2 500 years after that. That should not be the case. You should take a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback and you should parlay that into team success. You should make this the ultimate destination for players to want to come to. If you can say, hey, look, you want to come here, if you want to win a Heisman, you want to be a first-round draft choice at quarterback, different staffs too, right? Yeah, Joe Burrow come over from Ohio State, wasn't playing at all, comes down to LSU, 1 year wins a Fiesta Bowl, the next year wins a national championship, number 1 overall pick. Jaden Daniels, right, had moments at Arizona State, ebbs and flows, peaks and valleys, whatever you want to use. Okay, well, he comes here in the first year, it actually was pretty good. I mean, I know we talk about it being inconsistent. You beat Alabama, you have some major wins, you get to Atlanta for an SEC championship game. And then you parlay that into what he did this year. Now, the team success wasn't the same because you had one of the worst defenses in the country. But what he did, it opens up, like now, that's why you have the 2025 number 1 quarterback in the country highly interested in LSU, right? That's why when you see the transfer portal open up and quarterbacks are in it, even though Garrett Nussmeier is the presumed starter at the position, guys still want to talk to LSU, right? So you have to, off of this, you have to continue the success because it starts at quarterback, but then where does it go? Well, it trickles down to receiver, running back, and offensive line, and maybe, just maybe, you can get some defensive players in here as well. But how would you not look at what LSU's done this year on offense with the quarterback, with 2 of the best receivers, 2 of the best 5 receivers in the country, and not want to be a part of that, right? Because that's something you built. But now you've got to go achieve that success, keep that the same, and you've got to improve the other side of the football. But if we're staying with offense here, one of the positions that's the deepest is receiver. You're about to lose 2 first-rounders. But now because of what you've done on the field, you can bring in almost any player that you want. You have developed in college football 4 of the best receivers, I'd say, in the last 3 decades of college football. Jefferson, Chase, Thomas, Neighbors, right? They're different. They're not like the others. So when you do things like that, you've got to make that become the norm in Baton Rouge. You have to bring in players like that because they saw what happened before them, right? LSU did not do a good job of that last time, right? It took a couple years to get back to that. I'd love to see LSU take this momentum, create that same momentum in high school recruiting, close out this class a little bit ahead of where you are right now, be highly active in the transfer portal, because if I'm a quarterback and I'm a receiver, why in the hell would I not go to LSU right now after what I've seen there? So, fellas, I'll throw this to y'all. I mean, what do y'all think? What should LSU do? What would be the main goal if you were LSU after having 2 Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks in a short period?
Yeah, go get more, and go get more skill players on offense, like you said, that will want to come here now. Like that stigma of what LSU was for quarterbacks like 10 years ago, completely gone.
Graveyard.
Yes, and hopefully you parlay that into more, transfer quarterbacks and skill players. I do hope we fix our defense, though. Like you said, you want the team success ultimately. The last thing I want is for LSU to be USC, Oklahoma, get all these awards, but not win championships, which is what LSU is about. But ultimately very beneficial for LSU.
Yeah, Jake, you said earlier, keep the try to limit the peaks and valleys. And that's what you got to do. You know, you've had success here your first 2 years under the Brian Kelly regimen on the offensive side of the football. Now, last year on defense wasn't as bad as this year. Look, you keep this thing rolling. Right. You bring in quarterbacks. Now, if you bring in a quarterback like this every single year, you're almost guaranteed to have a pretty good offense. Then you can focus on the defensive side of the football, have that success going. Also, don't get complacent with something like this. You haven't won anything yet. I think you can win a national championship with Brian Kelly at LSU. That's his ultimate goal. Last time we saw success like this, even more so because Burrow wins the Heisman, but you had a national championship as well. There was a lot of complacency in Baton Rouge after that. Yeah. Fans, coaches, players, whatever you want to call it, you can't get that. You got to look at it as like, this is a stepping stone. You win the Heisman Trophy. You have a lot of publicity to your program. Everything's going in a positive direction right now, but you're not a finished product. You still have to fix that defense. Like, this is a stepping stone along the way. You can't get complacent because you can only go up from here. So that's what I want to see. I want to see this as like a big step towards your ultimate goal.
And when you look at what LSU's done over the last 25 years, I mean, they've won the second most national titles. I mean, they have been one of the standards of college football, certainly a pillar of college football. How could you not be? I mean, it's about championships, and you've won 3, right? Only Alabama's won more. Georgia's won 2, Clemson's won 2, Ohio State's won 2. Others have won 2. You've won 3. You've played for 4, by the way. You had another opportunity if 2011 goes a different way. But when you look at what LSU's done after those seasons, like, so we're talking about individually, like what you should do, and also team success after you have momentum. Let's go to 2004. I was a part of that team. We're good. We're a good football team. We lost some really close games, but we were 9-3. We finished 16th in the country after a national championship, right? Finished top 10. You look at 2007. We won a national championship. What'd you do the next year? You were 8-5. You're 3-5 in conference play. You finish unranked, all right? So, 2011, you have that success. And the next year, you finished right outside the top 10, but you finished 13th, right? You don't finish in the top 10. Parlay that into a better year the next year, 2019. Best team that maybe we've ever seen. You finish unranked in 20 and 21, the next 2 seasons after that. So you have to build off this success. Nothing in the rule book says that it has to be uber successful, drop off. Uber successful, drop off. And I'm not saying that LSU hasn't been consistent, right? We could go from 2010, right? 8th, 2011, 2nd, that 13th that I talked about in 12, 14th and 13. It's okay. It's okay, but it's not to the standard of what you can be, right? So even though I think you've been one of the best programs in college football the last 25 years, put it together for multiple years, right? And you're kind of in the middle of that right now, right? You're starting this process. Your foundation crumbled, and now you're building this foundation back up, all right? You're building it up, and last year was a big step. This year, depending on who you ask, look, you can go a lot of different ways. But if you win the Heisman Trophy, if you go out there, you blow out Wisconsin in a bowl game, maybe you finish top 10, and that's continuing to at least stay in that conversation, right? Continue to build that foundation where if you win a national championship, you know what you are the next year? You're a top 5 team because you're in it. You still have the ability. And I know it's about to change with the 12-team playoff, and it gives you even more opportunities to be relevant and to be elite, not just be good. So that's something that you win another Heisman Trophy. I would love to see from LSU just continue to build and continue to be consistent. You don't have to have flashes. We used to make the joke, every 4 years, LSU is going to be in a national championship in New Orleans. It's going to happen. And I mean, it kind of worked out that way for a long time. But it doesn't have to be the case. You're LSU. You're those 3 letters. You're those 2 colors. You can be great and elite every single year. And so that's what, like, an individual award can really do that, because it's the biggest individual award at the biggest position, and it opens up doors to you to almost everything that you want. And also, like, to go back to the Garrett Nussmeier conversation, I will have full disclosure here. I want Garrett Nussmeier to win the starting job. I want him to be the quarterback of LSU for the next 2 years, and I want him to be as successful as any quarterback's been, because I can appreciate during a time in which every quarterback hits the transfer portal, even ones that just went 11-1 at Ohio State, even ones that just had a monster year at Oklahoma, even ones that transfer to go play lacrosse at a school that they used to play football in, whatever the case might be, Garrett Nussmeier did not take his ball and go home. Garrett Nussmeier didn't go try to chase NIL money somewhere. And again, if you do that, do you, right? These guys are making more money than I made in a 6-year NFL career combined. Go do you. It's not always going to be there. You can do that. But for me, I can still appreciate the fact that he said, no, I'm an LSU Tiger. That if I make an impact in college football, it's going to be in those colors with that uniform, with those 3 letters on my chest. So you bet I'm rooting like hell for Garrett Nussmeier to go win this job and be the quarterback that a lot of us think that he can be in the future. But it doesn't mean you don't bring in competition. And if you know Garrett Nussmeier, and even if you don't, I'll tell you, he ain't going to shy away from it. It's not going to be something that hinders him. I think it's going to bring out another version of Garrett Nussmeier, one that we know is in there. We just hadn't seen it because he hasn't been the starter before, where he's going to raise his level of play, right? If you ever talk to this young man, he's uber confident, and not in a cocky way, but because he knows the work that he's put in to be this type of quarterback. So why would you not go bring in somebody to push him, bring out the best version of him? He ain't going to shy away from it, right? He's not going to pout that you brought somebody else in. He's not going to put his name in the portal because you brought somebody else in. It's only going to make him better. It goes back to the line that my dad gave me when I committed to LSU, or when I was, right there and kind of making the decision after I got the offer. I'm highly excited. I remember, God, Dad, I'm looking at the roster. Justin Vincent just had one of the best freshman years of all time at the running back position. Joseph Adai he's a young player. He's a sophomore. He's going to be a first-round pick later on in his career. Chiron Carey, right? Big moments already in an LSU uniform. Barrington Edwards was a big-time recruit from Maryland. Ali Broussard just ran all over South Carolina and all these other teams. Like, man, Dad, these guys are sophomores or younger. Like, what do you think? And y'all have heard me say it before, but it was the most impactful thing maybe my dad ever said to me. He looked me in the eyes and said, if you're scared of competition, change your last name. And that's the way that I think Garrett Nussmeier thinks. He's a son of a coach. He knows the deal, and I cannot wait to see what his future brings. And I still think, again, you bring somebody in to make that future even brighter and better. All right, let's go ahead and take this next break. When we come back, it's Mario's time to shine because we are flocking up. We are talking about the New Orleans Pelicans. They continue to win in the in-season tournament. A different rotation last night. I didn't hate it. It looked a little different than I thought it was going to, but I think there was a rhyme, there was a reason, and I think it was one of the better coaching jobs that Willie Green has done there for the Pelicans. We'll talk about it when we come back on OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, go to centralplumbing.org, centralplumbing.org. Now, first off, we'll tell you about their emergency service. 24/7 also means 365. And so we're in the holiday season. It's going to be a lot of days where a lot of people don't work. Well, Central Plumbing is not one of those, all right? They're going to be available to you. If you're like me and you've got family coming into town throughout December, it's not just the holidays, it's throughout December. Well, the last thing that you want is to have an issue, have a problem where you're not going to be the best host. That's why you call Central Plumbing. That's why you can call them at any time. They'll come out, they'll fix whatever situation that you might have going on. We give you the website as well, not just the phone number, because it's not only in emergencies. If we're looking at a remodel, bathroom remodel for your home or your business, and come in, tell you exactly what they would do. Hey, we could do this, we can move this here, we can put that there, vanity, shower, tub, tile, whatever it might be. And also, you can ask them about tankless water heaters. Never run out of hot water ever again. Go tankless today with Central Plumbing, centralplumbing.org.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find him on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Step inside an Infiniti QX50, and you'll find a suite of driver-focused features tailored to your tastes. But most of all,
Voisin inviting you to join us Wednesday night at 6 for Louisiana Prep Weekly. We'll be live from Walk-Ons in Zachary with our special guest, Zachary head football coach David Brewerton. It's Louisiana Prep Weekly, Wednesday night at 6 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. You really are a heel. You're as cuddly as a cactus. You're as charming as an eel, Mr. Grinch. You're a bad banana with a greasy black peel.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Favorite version of the Grinch now that we've had a bunch of different ones. We're all a different age here. They're all pretty good. They all stand up. They all hold up a little bit.
Got to be the OG, man. The animated version with the heart getting little. Yeah.
The OG's the OG. It's tough. But I'll be damned if I don't appreciate what Jim Carrey did.
Mine's the Jim Carrey version, 100%.
Look, the last one wasn't bad either. Dr. Strange
I saw it on TV the other day, and I was like, this isn't that bad. I sat down and watched it a little bit.
Wasn't too bad. I mean, Jim Carrey, like T-Bob gives me anxiety when he tells me about like him going through the process and having to sit there with like straws in his nose to be able to breathe. Miss me with all that.
Yeah.
That sounds awful.
Very quotable movie. I have nothing to add.
All right, let's talk about the New Orleans Pelicans. Flock up 127-117 over the Sacramento Kings. And Sacramento's a good basketball team and kind of, like we talked about last year, Mario, kind of in the same spot that you're in, feel like they're on the verge, and they got the best of that last year. They ended up having the better year. But when you look at these rosters, I'm not comparing like, oh, the same player, like Sabonis is this player. Like, no, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying as far as a really talented team, a young basketball team that's got a lot of pieces and they can use in a lot of different ways, I think the Sacramento Kings are a pretty good comp for what the Pelicans are right now as well. And so you go on the road in the in-season tournament again, and you get a major, major victory. And a couple of the storylines that I'm paying attention to as I'm watching this game, the rotation, right? Like Hawkins didn't play. Coach's decision. He was one of the best rookies in all of the NBA at portions of this season. But you get Trey Murphy back. Alvarado comes back, and so it kind of changes. Marshall comes back. He was injured early in the year, and so the rotation looks a little bit different. But how can you argue? I mean, Trey Murphy, you look at the plus-minus, which, Mario, you know I'm a big fan of. Trey Murphy's plus 24. Jose's plus 19. The Pelicans are at their best when they have their full bench, because when you look at, let's go 1 through 12, it's hard to put 12 guys on any other team, like even the best teams against that 12. Now, the first 5 might be a different conversation, but when you have the totality of the roster, when the Pelicans were going really well last year, when they were, top in the Western Conference, it was the bench. It was the guys, the Alvarados, the Murphys, the Nance. Like, it was those. Like, that's the reason that you were who you were, because when you brought in your second unit, it was damn close to a lot of people's first unit. And so to see them have the ability, and even having Hawkins on the bench, who I'm sure they'll find a role, because I think he's been really, really good. And I think he gives you a little bit something different. You could see the Pelicans actually make a couple of moves, because Hawkins is somebody that I think deserves playing time, but we'll get there whenever that time comes. Just last night's game, Mario, your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it was great. The Pelicans, to me, are the deepest team in the league. Not necessarily the best, but the deepest. Like, when their guys are actually healthy, when you have McCollum and Ingram and Zion as the starters, these guys really thrive as the second line, which is what they call the Pelicans bench.
Yeah, you got 2 lottery picks that didn't play because of coach's decision last night.
Exactly. And Alvarado, coming back from injury, I thought made the biggest impact of the season, as he has in any game last night, with the 2 steals, like you said, the plus 19. Even Cody Zeller's giving you good minutes off the bench, so that was really nice to see. The only gripe I have is maybe Najee Marshall getting 13 minutes and Dyson Daniels getting 6. I think Dyson deserves more playing time given what he's done this season.
Yeah.
But it's really nice to see, man. The depth of this team is really impressive. And I like the comp that you said with the Sacramento Kings, because they have a lot of really hungry young players, some guys drafted high, some undrafted guys, but then veteran players, McCollum, Valanciunas, who I think is really underrated, Herb Jones, who's really benefited from experience, now being a third year in the pro. We all know about his defense, but Herb's offense really coming along. 23 points, 8 of 13 from the field. Had a coast-to-coast dunk that got the benches pumped up as I've seen them all season.
Right at the end of the game, yes.
That was freaking awesome, man. The development of young players, the cohesion, the actual stability as an organization, it's really nice to see as a Pelicans fan. Hopefully they stay healthy, but either way, Langdon and Griffin have done an excellent job of filling out this roster.
Yeah, one of the things Jose did last night, and so like Malik Monk for the Kings, like technically he's not a starter, but he played 32 minutes. I mean, he's a starter. He just doesn't play getting the starting lineup. He didn't have his name called, but he plays starter minutes for the Kings. He's one of their best scorers. I mean, he's 15 points a game this year, and you could tell Jose was on his nerves from the very moment that he checked in. Like, from the very moment Jose checked in, you could almost, like, hear Monk just probably sigh through the TV. Yeah. Like, he knew what it was. Like, he knew what it was going to be. And Jose and even Najee Marshall, he's really good at this too. Like, they know their role. They know that's why they are there. Now, they're good basketball players, but they are there to annoy other players, annoy other scorers, get under their skin, because they know that adds to what the Pelicans can be. And I'm telling you, I don't know if you noticed it, as soon as Jose checked into the game, like him and Monk just started like just talking to each other. Kind of, you could see their body language, right? One's trying to one up the other one, and once you get in somebody's head like that as a scorer, like he's minus 17, plus minus. Monk was last night. He'd come off some really nice games for the Kings, and that's another thing that Jose brings to this Pelicans team.
And y'all know how I feel about this tournament. I've been very transparent about it on this show. I think it's a money grab. It's a clear attempt to make the regular season more interesting, but it is a lot more interesting. Like, the winning plyers of whoever wins the tournament is going to get $500,000. There's a trophy. There's pretty colors on the court. And you see the intensity, man. Valanciunas got into it with Lyles during the game. And Lyles kind of just, not really smacked him, but kind of just pushed.
He kind of did smack him.
Yeah, kind of like pushed the back of his head pretty much. And Najee Marshall got in his face after the game. They kind of had to be separated. Yeah. So you do like to see that. This tournament has been a lot of fun.
It might be a money grab. Let the Pelicans win this thing. It would be a banner grab.
Hell yeah.
Put a banner up in the stadium.
I'm into it now. Now that we're 2 wins away from the trophy, I am officially into it.
Okay. And at first Mario wasn't a fan of this at all. Maybe not that far, but I was like, okay, why are we doing this? And as soon as T-Bob said, well, it's just like the FA Cup in soccer, I'm like, you're exactly right. Like, in the sport that I love, in soccer, that not a lot of people do here in this area, I get it, but, they create tournaments that include teams that aren't going to win the Premier League, or they're not going to win whatever, the championship, whatever it might be. And those teams, well, they get to celebrate that season. They get a chance to be successful, to win a type of championship. And now it's been going on for decades over in Europe, but now, like, those cups, man, they mean something.
Yeah.
Like, you can win one of those, finish 7th in the Premier League, and you're like, hey, we had a pretty good season. Like, we won a trophy is what they always talk about. Then you add in about $500,000. Now, for maybe the Pelicans, that doesn't mean a lot because, they've kind of paid their young guys, and Jose got a new deal. I think Najee got a new deal, if I'm not mistaken, last year.
I believe so.
He
Yeah,
got more than what he was
one.
making. He
Yeah.
was making obviously the minimum, but like for the Pacers have like I think 9 guys that make under $3.5 million on their roster. So $500,000 is a lot to those 9 guys.
Yeah.
I can promise you that.
That's another cool thing about this. Like some like young teams that maybe don't get the exposure, like the Pacers who have exciting young players. Tyrese Halliburton's having a freaking amazing season. They maybe get the exposure that they would not have gotten. The Pelicans too. They don't have as many national TV games, understandably so, with what's happened with Zion. But that's another benefit of this tournament. I'm going to be glued into the Lakers-Suns game tonight. The Pelicans get whoever wins that game in the semifinal.
You know it's going to be a Lakers.
I hope so, man.
Yeah, you know it's going to be a Lakers. I actually hope it is the Lakers.
Me too.
I want it to be the Lakers.
The intensity, man, of that game in Las Vegas, LeBron and Zion, that would be a lot of fun.
Real quick before we take a break, and we've got OTB Mailbag here in this next segment, so go ahead, get your questions in the Bayou Ford chat. Hit us up on Twitter at JacobHester18. However you want to get those OTB Mailbag questions in, go ahead and start that process now so we can roll through a lot of them coming up in the next segment. Why do players go after Valanciunas? Do you not realize that if they had a situation where it was an NBA like battle royale to see who the toughest dude in the league was, like he would be one of the finalists? He screams Eastern European to me. Like he looks like he's the bad guy on a John Wick movie. Why are we? It's always him. It's just like in college. It never failed. When we were in college, we'd be out at Bogies or Fred's or whatever, and every single time a frat guy would try to pick a fight with Sean Jordan. Every single time. And I'm sitting there, what are you doing? You got the kicker over there. You got the deep snapper over here. You got Flynn over here, and you're going to choose Sean Jordan to fight with. It never failed. They were going to, just because you see it in the movies where it's like, hey, you go get the baddest guy in the yard, you knock him out and send a message, good luck with that. It's always Valanciunas.
It's insecurity at the end of the day because I think, Jonas plays really rough. He's a very physical player. I think he just kind of gets in people's heads. They get mad, especially when the Pelicans are up like they were yesterday. But, hey, I love that. You know who the enforcers on this team are. Not necessarily the best players, but Jonas, Najee, they're never going to let you get away with stuff like that.
It is a little odd, though, that, you're right. It's always Valanciunas, and I get it. It's like you pick the biggest, baddest dude. No one's doing that to Steven Adams. I mean, Steven Adams is known as a big center, a scrappy guy. I mean, no one's doing that to him.
Except
why
Uncle
is
Shannon,
it always Valanciunas?
Except Shannon Sharp. He's the only dude
that.
Yeah.
Shannon Sharp don't want those problems. Him and his
he don't want that
denim cardigan that he had on that day. And Shannon Sharp's a big dude. Don't get me wrong. And he don't want none of Steven Adams. Champ inside the Bayou Ford YouTube chat. Sean Jordan ain't that tough. It took him 4 swings to drop me. Avo, yes, MMA Sean Jordan. Yes, that Sean Jordan, my fullback at LSU. Like, for whatever reason, like, in the bar, like, people were, like, basically, like, poking him in his chest. I'm like, do you want to not make it to tomorrow? Is that where we're at?
Well, he was always a big dude, right?
Yeah.
Like, he
nicest guy.
always
By the way,
looked like
Sean, I hope you're listening. Shout out to my guy, SJ. Nicest guy in the world. One of the smartest guys I've ever met, by the way. I mean, biology major at LSU. But also, he was, like, the 4th ranked heavyweight in the world in the UFC at one point. Like, he's taken out guys that have had the belt after the fact. And every time they chose him. And every time, as you can guess, he was undefeated inside of the bar. So just a question I thought I'd ask. Valanciunas always seems to be the one that they try to go after. And again, I don't know that I would make. It's a business decision for sure. All right, let's go ahead and take that break. Again, when we come back, get your questions in. OTB Mailbag. We'll do it here in this next segment. It is OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
His name was Cain. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw him ride. One day they found him.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Brack, your #1 park system in the nation.
Life in Louisiana is like a run-on sentence. A poem that doesn't rhyme. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
Join me for a Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Glenn West talking Tigers, and apparently the Pelicans are in the semis of some tournament I never heard of. We'll ask Sharif about it. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Santa baby slipped a Rolex under the tree for me. I've been an awful good guy, Santa buddy, and hurried down the chimney tonight. Santa buddy, a 65.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Look, I'm not going to lie. I'm secure enough to let you know that I really enjoy some Michael Bublé. It is what it is. You know?
I do too. Maybe you wouldn't expect it as much, but I love me some Michael.
I know. Been to the concert I think 3 times. He came to Baton Rouge when I was in college. I think it was college. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was college.
Damn.
Put all the monies together to get tickets there in the River Center. So I'm in Staples Center one time in L.A. It's on a good show. What do I say?
He's got that smooth voice to him.
Call that crooner.
Even if you don't enjoy the the style of music. It's like he's smooth.
There you go.
Why do I have the urge to drink champagne and eat chestnuts right now?
See, I was thinking more like, champagne's whatever, but like a nice, like, good dark liquor. Yeah, sitting by a fire. Yeah, okay. We're on the same page. Good. All right, it's time for OTB Mailbag.
Special delivery! I have this special delivery for off the bench. And look, it is marked most urgent.
We'll be writing to you.
The internet.
What the is the internet?
All right, hashtag OTB Mailbag. Would you want your team in the championship game for the in-season tournaments? It does not count in the standings, and with something on the line, the intensity creates more chance of injury. I hear what you're saying because at the end of the day, like, it doesn't get to the NBA championship, and we are so far away from this being like European soccer where these tournaments don't mean as much, but they mean a lot. Like, we're not there yet. It's going to take years of doing this. The World Baseball Classic has had some of this where it's only every 4 years, and other countries take it way more serious than the United States. You don't see the best players playing for the USA, and we've had injuries there, but look, you can tell there's pride, there's passion for their country, and so they want to go out there and play. I think same thing. There's pride for your franchise, and you have the opportunity to not win the ultimate goal, but you still have a chance to win something. And so I do understand what you're saying about injuries, but look, these are professional athletes. They're highly competitive. I mean, some of these guys, if they're in the hallway and I say, I'll race you to the door, they're going to push me down to beat me to the door. That's who you are as a professional athlete, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Also, longer recovery time. The tournament's in December. NBA playoffs are in April. So if, God forbid, something does happen, hopefully they can get back for the important games.
I would absolutely want my team in the championship in any way I can get it.
Certainly for the Pelicans.
I don't
right?
know.
I mean, they haven't won anything.
I don't know when people decided that in game is the only time that any athlete can ever suffer an injury because people get injured in practice all the time. Some of the worst injuries we see in football are non-contact injuries. I mean, people are like, "Oh, well, if you play in that game, you can get hurt. You can get hurt in practice, man. You can get hurt walking to the bus stop, whatever you're doing." Like I always hate that. Like, well, don't play the game because you can get injured. You can get hurt anywhere.
I tell you what, one of the worst injuries I had in college, we're about to go to Florida, 2004. I went back to West Campus Apartments to go grab my tie. I forgotten my tie in my dorm room. I'm going back across campus to go to Tiger Stadium. That's where the buses used to pick us up and go to the airport. And an old lady who had on, the glasses you wear, like the ones that wrap all the way around your head, and basically like if you're blind,
type thing.
you wear them. She swiped me on my scooter, hit the back of my scooter, didn't stop, and
you got hit and ran by an old lady. Oh man!
And so
that's a
I
good story.
skid across, like right there by Huey Long Fieldhouse, skid across the ground, right, all bloody and kind of beat up a little bit. So yeah, to your point. You can get hit on your scooter by a grandma when you're trying to get back to the bus.
These games are not just outliers where your injury goes up somewhere, you can get hurt anywhere.
Yeah, your boy on the Sixers got hit by a car a couple weeks ago. Oubre got hit by a car the other day. So it could happen at any time.
Hashtag OTB Mailbag. Jake, have you recovered mentally from your suspension on the Friday after Thanksgiving? Yeah, I've moved past it. 21 personnel is not going to work at LSU. They've had a lot of success in 11 personnel. I fought the good fight. I went to Coach Brian Kelly and I said, Coach, I feel like this team could go in 21, 22, maybe even 23 personnel. I'll settle for pony personnel, which is 20 personnel, 2 backs, no tight ends, 3 receivers. But he didn't want to hear it. And then he said, I'm about to have a quarterback win the Heisman Trophy. So there's all that you need to know. So it didn't work out. I served a 1-day suspension, but now I'm back and excited to catch up with everybody in New York City. By the way, we did vote for our nominees for the Low Man Award going to the nation's best fullback yesterday, the Golden Neck Roll. So just like the Heisman, high integrity. Can't tell you who I voted for until we name the Low Man Trophy Award winner. So be on the lookout for that list. Hashtag OTB Mailbag. Do y'all think Jaden will play the start of the ball game to get Neighbors the record? I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that's going to play out. I'm not sure if Jaden will play in the bowl game. I think he's going to play in the Senior Bowl. I know he's been invited, so obviously trying to get ready for that. Can't wait to see him that week down in Mobile and what he does against some of the other best players in the country, I don't know. And even Malik, I know Malik wants to go get Josh Reed's record. I know he's got receptions. He wants yards as well. Does the matchup change it at all? I know all the buzz when I was in Atlanta was LSU was playing Notre Dame in a bowl game, and a lot of people were fired up for that. You're playing Wisconsin, 7-5 Wisconsin team. And does that do anything? Does that motivate anybody to go out there and play in this bowl game, formerly known as the Outback Bowl? I don't know. Guessing right now, probably not, right?
Yeah.
I mean, would
so.
we assume that we'd be surprised at this point?
Mini old man Taylor rant here. I don't want anyone sitting out of the bowl game.
No, I mean,
like when my players play in the bowl
Yeah.
game and people can say, well, you should want them to not play in this game. No, I'm a fan. You're allowed to be selfish as a fan, guys. It's nothing personal. I want what's best for my team. What's best for my team is for the best players to play. If they don't play, that's their decision. I want them all to play.
Don't you work with Jay Budd from Michigan on the radio? He'd get really good perspective on this, I feel like. Because wasn't he like a highly, he was going to be a high draft pick, got hurt in a bowl game similar to this. I wonder if he, has any regret, or like Taylor saying, at least he went out there.
This isn't even like, for me, it's not like an old man argument. It's like, oh my God, you're black. No, I would play in the game. I'm just telling you what I would do. I am not going to count another man's money. I'm not going to, look at him and talk about his decision not to play. That's his individual choice. I'm just telling you that I would play. I played in the NFL longer than I did at LSU. I played for the Chargers longer than I played for any team in my life. If you gave me one play, you gave me one kickoff, and you said this is the last play of your career, where do you want to go? I'd say purple and gold, Tiger Stadium against Florida. It can be a kickoff. It can be a goal line play. It can be whatever. That's where I'm going. College football is the best sport that we have. It is the greatest thing that we have. And so for me, I'm going to play because, college football was everything. Not everybody thinks like that, and that's okay too. I would play in every bowl game.
Well said. And I'm glad Malik really wants the record. To me, as an LSU fan that's seen all those great receivers over the years, that's way more meaningful than any trophy you can win in New York. Yeah,
it's a damn shame that if he doesn't win the Blitnikoff, that's going to be stolen from him. And again, he won't have his name next to those other guys on Tiger Stadium that he deserves to have his name next to and literally built into Tiger Stadium. But if he doesn't get that because he's robbed, then he will always have receptions and yards leader in LSU history if he goes out there and breaks the record. So,
hey, he has something to look forward to, though. Let's say Malik goes and he has a Hall of Fame career, and then he has a son. One day that son can win the Blitnikoff. That could happen. There's still a chance for that to happen.
Yes, well played.
All
well
those
played.
are still on the table.
Hashtag OTB Mailbag. Who's the one person you played football with and the person that you would call to hide the body? Sean Jordan would be the person that I would call in college. In high school, shout out to my guy, Big Wayne, Big Austin Kesterson. He's a sheriff now down in Houma, so probably not trying to hide bodies now, but he would always have my back. So I'm going to go those two choices.
Nice.
Y'all got a guy?
I'm going Julian Obioha. I played with him at Brother Martin. Like you say about a die sometimes, I can't believe I played the same position as him along the defensive line. But yeah, I'd probably go with him.
I'm going with Tyler Hunt, my best friend in the entire world. I will be the best man in his wedding in a year and a half, so I got to go with my guy.
There you go. All right, let's do let's go ahead and do this. Let's take a break. Let's come back. We got more mailbag questions to get to, so we'll finish this hour number 2 with mailbag. We've got Nick Underhill in about 15 minutes from now. We're going to talk New Orleans Saints. Obviously, the game against the Lions started out awful, looked like it was promising, and you fall just short there. So let's go back. Mailbag, Nick Underhill. Stay locked in, OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find them on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal.
To the Dome, it's state championship week in high school football, and we get things started at 6 with Louisiana Prep Preview presented by Brock. And at 7, it's the select Division I state championship game between the Catholic High Bears and Acadiana Wrecking Rams. All right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back in OTB. Let's continue some OTB Mailbag. Hashtag OTB Mailbag. How do you feel about Mike Thomas live tweeting during the Saints game? Personally, I love him and want 53 can't guard Mikes. Bro did pine for Carr in the all season. I think MT is not trolling. I think you have a frustrated player. Now, for me, like I played in the NFL during the Twitter era, but it was kind of new-ish and don't have that experience of like being at home and watching my team. I think I missed one game in my career, and it was because we already clinched our number 1 seed in the playoffs, and so sat out for that one. But I wasn't going to be tweeting during the game, but it's a different time. And so like for me to speak on like those times now, can't really do it. I think you just have a frustrated player. I think you have a player that has a quarterback that was supposed to be a lot of things, and he's none of them, and I think he's just frustrated.
Yeah, not cool. I mean, a lot of fans were shaking their hands in approval of what Mike was saying, but it's unprofessional. You can't do that during the game. The season's still not over. You can think that, but you can't post it online, man.
I have a big problem with this. I'm glad somebody mentioned it. Me and Mario were actually chatting about it after the show yesterday. Look, I get it. You're injured for whatever reason. You're a guy that's work ethic has been called into question your entire time in New Orleans. You're perpetually hurt, and you weren't doing this while you were playing. You were not tweeting this out. You were not airing your grievances to the media. But now that you're injured and unavailable for about the 5th time since you've been in New Orleans, you're going to live tweet during the game. You're going to criticize Derek Carr. You're going to criticize your coaching staff. I don't like it at all.
Yeah, again, frustrated player, not an era that I played in. I can tell you I wouldn't do it. Now, I would have that conversation in-house. Like, if I was frustrated, like, with whatever, like, no, you got to – like, you're grown in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like, you really got to have that conversation. Like, if as a fullback, if LT would have said, hey, Hess, you ain't getting it done, like, I would have respected that. Like, hey, you're right. Like, I got to do better, right? Those are conversations that as grown men, like, you can have together there. Again, different time, different era there. And there's a lot of frustrations because you were supposed to be this offense with this quarterback that was not going to be Andy Dalton, and you're not Andy Dalton because you're worse. We'll be back. Nick Underhill, hour number 3.
Off the bench with Hester and T-Buck.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade, time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me, like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find him on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
Two locations in Baton Rouge, one in Shreveport, New Orleans, and Lafayette. LMFJ.com. LSU Baseball National Champions Jay Johnson and Alex Milazzo invite you to Barnes & Noble in Perkins Row, Wednesday, December the 6th from 3 to 5 p.m. Meet them as they sign the officially licensed National Championship Baseball book. Secure your piece of history this Wednesday.
If you're tired of erosion and mud and want your lawn looking its best, winter is the easiest time to lay grass sod. Let Quality Sod help you select the perfect grass for your lawn. For winter sale prices, call 610-4842 or QualitySod.com.
Insurance companies have teams of professionals to fight your claim. If you want to know what your case is really worth, I'm Spencer Callahan. I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA filing number 16-7970.
WNXX, Jackson, KNXX, Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers, LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge.
Good morning, everybody. It is 9 a.m. on Tuesday, December 5th. Today in Baton Rouge, expect clear skies with a high of 69. Coming up on OTBOT, Nick Underhill of NewOrleans.football joins the show up next to talk Saints. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at OTB_ESPN, or catch us on YouTube at the 1045 ESPN channel and subscribe for daily content. Hour number 3 of Off the Bench, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, starts now.
Let we go! All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, P, they said I got to come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo, yo, yo.
Yo, welcome in. Hour number 3. Jake, Mario, Taylor, no T-Bob Hebert. He is probably 9:01. It's been open for like a minute or two. 2 beers deep at Epcot right now, and hopefully he's enjoying his family vacation. But it is Tuesday here. It is 9 o'clock, so you know what that means. We're going to talk to our guy, Nick Underhill, NewOrleans.football. Now, Nick, how you doing? Always a pleasure.
Doing good. How you doing?
How many beers deep would you be at Epcot if it was open for a minute and 43 seconds?
0, man. I don't partake. I have my own beer, but I don't really drink. So I would still be at 0, just fighting the fight.
And I can appreciate that. Everybody's built a little bit different, and our guy T-Bob Hebert is, well, he's built the mostest. All right, let's get to the New Orleans Saints and what we saw on Sunday. Kind of a weird game to break down. You turn the TV on, first play for the New Orleans Saints, interception, and you're like, oh, man, here we go. And then you look up, it's 21-0, and, like, that's discouraging. And you see the comeback, and, God, you can appreciate the fight. It's so hard to come back in the NFL. Typically, that game ends 35-3, or it ends 42-10 or something like that. They fought like hell to get back into that game, and you fall just short. So let's go through the totality of the game. Kind of initially, 21-0. What were your thoughts?
It's 21-0. I reached over, I tapped Mike Triplett, and I was like, we got to write that this is the end. Like, I thought it was over. Like, I thought they were going to have to fire everybody by Monday morning. And I know that's not their method of operation. They want to be patient. They want to wait. They want to let the season play out. But if you get beaten in a game like that, 42-10, 35-3, 50-10, whatever it looked like it was going to be, and you got the lower bowl of the stadium is all Lions fans, everybody's booing your team. You got "Let's Go Lions" chants coming up through the building. At a certain point, it becomes a business decision, and you're losing, your financial base at that sense, and you're almost forced into taking action. And I thought that was the point that it had reached. And then, like you said, they fought back. They keep going. I think it was enough to keep it together. And you can almost look at this game if it was out of context from the rest of the season and find things to be positive about. I like the fight. I like that Derek Carr went 15-15. I like, the way Chris Olave played. There were a lot of things that I thought went well during the comeback, but, it's just too much of that. It's too much of the same. It's too much of the, just kind of being stuck in the mud, and you kind of get to the end of it, and it's just like, it's just kind of like nothing. Like, I don't really know how to put it, but, the thing I would say is last year it was games like this where, you kept seeing the players not quitting that I thought got Dennis Allen year 2. I don't think that's enough to get him year 3. Like, you actually have to start winning some of these games. And this was just another lost opportunity. And the slow starts are a huge issue. And I thought the most interesting thing to come out of the game is Colin Saunders after the game said they aren't scouting him well enough and they aren't preparing well enough for what teams are doing at the start of games. And we've seen it now like 6-7 weeks in a row where they get off to these slow starts. So they got to figure that out. That's a coaching issue. All of it's a coaching issue. And it's just more of the same, man.
And okay, so some of the things that we wanted to see be better, red zone offense, like it was like your 4-4. Like if you take a deep dive into it, though, Detroit, one of the worst teams in the league at stopping teams in the red zone, one of the worst teams stopping teams through the air. And so like the success, although it's exciting because you've been so bad, it's like you take a look at who you did it against and still like you kind of like, all right, was that really more of the Saints or was that more of the Lions? And so it's a weird game because like I want to take positive things from it, Nick, but like when you do like a deep dive into the analytics of it, like you should be doing those things.
Yeah, and look, here's the thing that's going to end up happening with the way the season plays out is, like you just said, they went 4-4 in the red zone against one of the worst red zone teams, and then the rest of the schedule is pretty soft. So you're going to see things that you like about this team down the stretch, and people are going to talk about it, and it's going to need to be put into context because if you go and you beat Carolina and you beat the Giants, like, all right, like what does that really mean? These are two of the worst teams in the league. You put up some better numbers. The red zone numbers are going to look better.
Yeah.
The offense is going to look better. And it's not going to mean anything because you're measuring yourself against just the worst teams in the league at this point down the stretch. The Rams is probably the only tough game left. They look like they're playing a little bit better. They got their offense going. That's going to be a hard game. But the other 4 are all extremely, extremely winnable games. And I expect the Saints to look decent in them. The only real question right now is whether or not Derek Carr plays. I think he probably shouldn't at this point. Just
we're talking
we'll
2 concussions in 4 weeks, correct?
Yeah, and then 3 shoulder injuries. He's got a rib injury. I think that there might be some wisdom in just kind of taking a step back, allowing things to decompress a little bit, kind of get everything under control, get the narrative, just kind of calm down, allow him to get into a better headspace, allow that frustration to kind of boil away a little bit and then kind of come back at it. I don't think that would be the worst thing in the world, but I think they'll still probably win this game against Carolina with Jameis at quarterback. And, again, I think people are going to be really positive about some of the stuff they're seeing, but I think it needs to be kept in proper context. And hopefully them showing life against bad teams isn't the thing that kind of like erases everything else that happens, sort of like as a palate cleanser at the end, because that would be a real shame for them to buy back into this when I think we have enough evidence to kind of know what it really is.
So, Nick, obviously, like we talk about the Saints every day. You talk about the Saints every day. So, like when we're taking a look at what the Saints should do at quarterback, maybe we have different thoughts than others across the country. Like if you listen to the announcers on the broadcast, they were surprised that Taysom Hill wasn't the quarterback. Like when Jameis came in, I mean, I don't know how many times they said the Jameis experience. They must have gotten paid every time they said it. They said it like 10 times, like within 3 minutes. But they were, thinking that Taysom Hill maybe should be the quarterback. Like what's like that noise like on the outside? Like obviously we're close to the situation here, and we think the Saints will put Jameis Winston in there. Taysom Hill will kind of stay the same. Like, is there a lot of people that think Taysom should be the quarterback right now with Derek Carr out if he does, in fact, miss this game?
Yeah, it's definitely divided. There's a ton of people that think that way. Sometimes I think that way too. I just don't think that they would do it. But the problem with going to Taysom is that you can't make the full commitment to him. And I will go down, I'll be on my dying bed wondering what it would look like if they would have ever fully committed to Taysom. I don't even think Sean Payton did it. I don't think they went far enough in that direction. They kind of like tried to add it in with what they were doing instead of just kind of tearing it down and building a whole new system around him. And I think it could have succeeded in, higher fashion probably. But here's the reason why I would go with Jameis. Like, I think that you can split the stops if you wanted to. You could play Taysom more if you wanted to, but I think that you lose some of that element of surprise with your offense. You lose a lot of your creativity. There's just a lot of things you're unable to do if you go to Taysom full-time at quarterback. So I think you got to use the combination and just kind of up Taysom's usage within it. And I think there's things that Jameis does well. I think there's things that Taysom does well. And I think if you get creative enough, there's a good blend for both of them. But look, Jameis has had and one of the reasons I say I would step back if I were Carr, Jameis has had every opportunity to steal this job, and he just hasn't. He hasn't. He's come in and, he threw the pick against Tampa. I think that was probably an unfair situation to put him in. blew the 17-point lead against the Packers. I think that was a bad situation to put him in. The Minnesota game, it looked like there was some weirdness there. And I don't want to say too much here. I've heard whispers about some different things about just kind of like issues about like just, things that were happening on the field. So until we confirm that up, I'm going to back off it. So I won't put full stock in that. But this one too, like he didn't throw a good pass this whole game. So there were just some situations where, I think that, I think that he could have took the job and he didn't. So if I were Carr, I'd be okay with taking the step back and kind of looking at it from that distance. But look, I think Jameis could play a little bit better if he got to start to build a game plan around him. I still kind of want to see it. We haven't seen him with good weapons. He's got Chris Olave now. Like there's just things that I would like to see about it. But yeah, I don't think that they go to Taysom, but I could see an argument for it for sure.
So no matter who plays quarterback, you've got to run the football better. And that is something the Saints have just not been able to do. And I don't think it's because of who they have running the ball. AK, Taysom Hill, like whoever you give the ball to, it's been hard. And as I watched the end zone copy of the Saints this week, and I said it yesterday, I'm not sure where to tell the running back where to go. You know what I mean? Like I'm watching the play and inside, outside zone, no matter what it is, I'm like, as a running back watching tape, if I was their coach, if I was a running back coach, Nick, I don't know where I'd tell them to go because there's just not a lot there. It's guys losing on the front side. So when they lose on the front side, you want to cut it backside. Then the guy on the backside is losing, and there's just nowhere to go. And it doesn't matter who plays quarterback. Like, and I keep picking on him, and I'm sorry, but if Cesar Ruiz keeps blocking in the run game like he is, I'm not sure it matters what quarterback because you're going to basically turn into somebody who can only do one thing, which is throw the football for success.
Yeah, look, they have not figured it out. It's a massive disappointment. And, they got to start looking at everything from the coaching. The offensive line coach, I think, has left something to be desired. You haven't gotten anything out of Trevor Penning. Maybe Trevor Penning's just a bust. But look, he wasn't even in there in the jumbo package on Sunday, which is just kind of insane at this point. You pointed out Caesar. I think Caesar's kind of been disappointing there. Across the board, I think everybody except for McCoy and Ramczyk, I think has left a lot to be desired in that area of the game. And, that's what they have to be. You're supposed to be taking pressure off of these quarterbacks. Derek Carr isn't supposed to have to go out there and win games for you singularly. It's supposed to be like a supportive effort. The one thing we've been hammering on the play action, you are seeing more play action. They're seeing a little bit more success with some of those plays. But, if you're running the ball better, I think those plays become even more effective. So it's something that has to get, we keep saying has to get figured out. It's like we're at the end of the season.
I know.
They ain't figuring it out. It's
right.
probably cooked at this point. But yeah, I mean, it's a massive disappointment. Look at all the investment on that line. Like you go across first round, second round, first round, like just down the line, and none of them are playing up to par. No. It's a massive issue. I mean, I think the misses on the offensive line and kind of just offensive line, defensive line, I think those things legitimately are going to set the organization back years because you got to keep going back to the well to draft them, and now you aren't getting better at other positions. So it's they don't have the money to pay them. You can't go out and like sign, these dudes. I mean, they always find a way, but like, man, if you're setting up your contracts on guys behind guys you drafted, you're double dipping on your resources.
Yep.
The only way their cap management works is if they don't make mistakes, and they're making huge mistakes right now on these positions.
You're right about that. And so when I look at the matchup this week, well, Carolina, right, bad football team, but they're 4th in the NFL against the pass. Now they're 23rd against the run, so that would tell me, what do we have to do? Well, we have to run the football. But I'm not sure that this Saints team can run the football against anyone. But that's what it tells you because they are really good against the pass. And so, I don't love the matchup. It's a bad football team. They've won a singular game. It was close the last time you played them. Like, if you lose this game, we've been talking about it, and it is what it is. Dennis Allen, 10th worst winning percentage in NFL history as a head coach. If you lose to a one-win team that's already fired their coach, playing as bad as they are, if that's not enough, Nick, then it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I agree with that. Look, if you lose to them in the Superdome, like it is going to be hideous. And I'm telling you, this atmosphere on Sunday was the wildest one I've ever been in the Superdome. I've never seen it like that. The only one that came close to it was the Bills. I think they're in 2020. There were a lot of Bills fans in there, but the booing Derek Carr, cheering Taysom Hill going in.
Yeah.
The "Let's Go Lions" chants were loud, man.
Detroit's not a team that typically, correct me if I'm wrong, I played in the AFC, but Detroit's not typically a team that takes over your stadium. Like you'll have that against the Packers or the Steelers or somebody. Like Detroit, That's the team that's taking over your stadium?
I've never seen it, but look, with fairness to Detroit, I've never seen Detroit with a good team in my lifetime. So I don't really
That is so fair. That's a hell of a point, Nick. That's a great point.
Yeah. I don't know what they're like when they're motivated. They might have just been sitting back for 2 decades waiting for their moment. So this might have been it, but it was crazy in there. Like it was wild. And if they lose to Carolina, I don't think we're going to see Carolina fans take it over, which might be worse for the Saints because that just means there's more anger in the building amongst their own fans. So they got to win. They got to win this game. If you lose this game, I mean, I think the city might make the decision for you. And you know, I hear stories about like how Tom Benson used to get like cussed out in the community and stuff. And like, you know, that would kind of bring like change to it. Like, I think this is the message. Like, and they got to listen. You can't lose to Carolina. I don't know. Like I said, I thought it was done this week just because I'm thinking like, okay, you lose this game, they turned on you. You're going to just bring the fans back here 2 weeks in a row to just tee off on you after losing this game in the stadium in that fashion. And again, I think they silenced a lot of it. You were hearing cheers by the end. People bought back in, but
yeah,
if you lose to Carolina, a 1-win team, I don't know how you just stay the course.
Yeah, and so, like, I look at the Saints situation, and look, they're the team because they haven't had a lot of success in their franchise history, right? Early 90s was fun. Early 2000s, there was some fun, but we know what the Saints organization is, and it didn't change until Drew Brees and Sean Payton. And then once it did, it's like, man, you had so many bad relationships, and you finally find the one. And you have the one, and it's going great for like a decade plus. And then all of a sudden, because life is life, the one even turns sour. But you're holding on to that one, Nick, because you don't want to let go, because you remember the good times. You remember what it felt like when you found the one. And that's where the Saints are right now. Like, they're holding on to the good times because they just didn't have a lot. And in some aspect, like I know what you're doing because like you've had so many few moments in your franchise history. You don't want to let go. You don't want that window to close, but it's slammed shut. It's no longer open. And that's the thing is like this team, I think they can be more with something new, but it's just like they're holding on to pieces, and no team in the NFL has really held on to pieces this long like the Saints. Like, it happens, sure. Like, and even New England, like in Bill Belichick, that might change this year. I think the Saints just have to realize that the one was great while it lasted, but now it's time to tell the kids.
I agree. I don't disagree with anything you're saying. Look, I understand trying to keep it together. Like there was logic in it. There was merit to the thought process.
I agree,
but
yes.
It's just kind of in your face at this point that it is what it is. This is as good as it's going to get. You had every opportunity this season to be, run away with it. I mean, they had every injury break their way. Their schedule, I think I've seen the other day, is like third weakest in the NFL. Like they had every opportunity to run away with this thing and they didn't. So the fact that you didn't, and now your defense is part of the problem, it just feels like it's run its course. It really does. And maybe we're wrong here. Maybe they went out or whatever, but like, it get in the playoffs, win a game. But like right now, today, looking at it, it is hard to see anything else but like, all right, they tried this, didn't work how they wanted. So what happens next?
Yeah. Man, gosh, it's just such a great run. Superdome. I mean, just peak of NFL fandom. I know anytime that I came in as a visitor, it was always weird, by the way, coming into the Superdome as a visitor, but it was always one of the best atmospheres that I played in the NFL. It matched Arrowhead and all the great stadiums, Heinz and all those. And you still have the fans, but you will lose the fans if you don't start to change your ways. Nick, what do y'all have coming up this week? New Orleans.football always doing the biggest things. What do y'all have coming up this week?
Right now working on breaking down why they can't cover tight ends, which is one of the wildest things. They used to it used to be like you didn't play a tight end. If you were a fantasy player, you had a tight end going against the Saints, you didn't play him. Yeah. It's terrible, man. It's terrible. Yeah. So trying to figure out that, just doing the autopsy of why this season is falling apart.
Yeah. That's going to be a great read. It's going to be a sad read, but it's worth it. It's going to be worth reading while the Saints can't cover a tight end. Sam Laporta just caught another pass as we were doing this interview. Nick, man, we always appreciate the time. Great stuff as always. We'll catch up with you next week.
Yeah, take it easy, man.
Nick Underhill, NewOrleans.football is the site. I mean, absolutely covered from every single angle. Nobody covers the Saints better. Looking forward actually to reading that tight end piece because Sam Laporta went off. Now, he's been doing it a lot this year. One of the more underrated draft choices that happened in this last draft that we had, because a lot of people scratched their head whenever they made that selection in the second round, but he has been one of the best players. But still, Nick's right. Like, you didn't play tight ends or running backs against the Saints. And now we're starting to see that narrative completely change. I mean, Detroit had so many big runs, it felt like, and you're giving up explosive plays to positions you just did not give up in the past. And, there's a lot of things, in my opinion, and probably a lot of your opinions, that need to change with the New Orleans Saints. I don't know why they're reluctant to do so. This is a team that should be far better. This is a team that has more talent than they're showing. This is a team that is still fighting like hell, but they're fighting like hell, and they feel like they're at a disadvantage because of some of the situations that they're being put in. And now some of it is on some of the individual players, but there's too many good players on this team to be this bad. 10th all-time, worst head coaching win percentage right now. 25 games under 500. 25 games under 500. And that's in 65 games coached. So it's not like it's 300 games coached and he's just this guy that continues to get opportunity after opportunity. No, it's not the situation. You've coached 65 NFL games, and Dennis Allen is 20-45.
Yeah, we were talking about it during the break. We talked about it a little bit on AFR when I filled in for Paul yesterday. Okay, so the Saints are 5-7, right? This is actually Dennis Allen's best record through the first 12 games of a season since he's been an NFL head coach, 2 games under 500.
Yeah, Dennis is also
–
is bad. He's also leading our Citizens Bank poll for today, which is who is the worst coach in the history of the Saints. The choices are Mike Ditka, J.D. Roberts, and Dennis Allen, and Dennis has 75% of the votes. One guy did comment and say anyone saying DA didn't see the other coaches who were.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, oh, man, I remember.
Well, recency bias plays into that as well.
Gosh, I remember, the Saints, and if they got like a primetime game in a year, it was like a big deal because they were that bad. And there's been tough times, and I think that's part of why they're holding on to this. Like, you can't give me any other reason. And I'm not agreeing with the reason. Let's make that clear. I am not agreeing with it. The NFL, like the old joke, not for long, that's not just for players. That's for everybody. And if you want to stay longer than what the norm is, and the norm's not very long, you have to be great. You have to do great things. You got to be consistent, right? You don't play in the NFL as a player for 15 years if you're bad. Hell, you don't make it past, 2.6, I think is the average for an NFL player. There's a reason why it's so short. And as an NFL head coach, if you don't win games, right, wrong, or indifferent, your fault, my fault, whoever's fault, you don't have a job. And I'm sure Dennis Allen's a great guy. I don't know him personally. But the Oakland situation was the Oakland situation, okay? You were bad there. And I chalked it up to, you know what? Oakland's just a bad organization. I've seen really good players get drafted there, and I think they were not the player they could be because of it. The leadership was bad. It wasn't set up for success. And I tried to hand wave that. Maybe that's the reason. It ain't the reason. This roster is too good to be 5-7 with the schedule they've had. This roster is too good to not be leading a bad division. This roster is too good to not do the things that you have to do on Sundays to win games. Does it all fall on coaching? No, never does. But they have individual players that are still playing at a high level. Not everybody is, right? Offensive line. A lot of misses in the draft. Defensive front is, I think, better because you got rid of some of those misses, right? I think there's some things in the defense that they still do really well. Are they perfect? Not by any means. But you have to start to do things with this roster to win games. There's a reason why Jameis Winston is your backup quarterback and why you paid him money to be your backup quarterback in case this happened. Don't make that an excuse. Nobody. I just saw Jake Browning throw for 350 yards against a playoff team last night, right? Jake Browning is a really good college football player. You hadn't heard of him since. He just throws for 350 against the Jags on Monday Night Football and leads his team to victory, right? So there's not an excuse. You have a backup quarterback like Jameis Winston. You paid him money. I'm not going to give you that. Hell, you've got a Swiss Army knife in Taysom Hill that can come in and play quarterback, running back, tight end. Sometimes you use him right. Sometimes you don't use him at all. Sometimes you just waste him. Well, that's on coaching, right? So they have to be better. If they lose this game against the Carolina Panthers inside the Superdome, that's won a singular game, that fired their coach, multiple people on their staff because they were so bad, then the New Orleans Saints have to do something. Changes have to be made. You cannot continue to ask fans to come out and support you and not get taken over by the Detroit Lions fans when you put that product out there, okay? The team is still there. The players have not given up on you. They are fighting like hell. I watched Tyrann Mathieu out there. He's fighting. Demario Davis, fighting. Carl Granderson, a lot of fight. AK, I think, wants it more than anybody on the team. You can see his body language. It's one of, I'm trying to be the best teammate that I possibly can be, but you're making it damn hard for me. You can see it. You can see the frustration, and I get it. Trying to be the best teammate that you can be. But because you're put in positions to not succeed, it's hard. There's no way I should be able to turn on the tape and see a running back like Alvin Kamara and not tell him where to go on the tape because there's nothing. And everything that he's getting, he's making on his own. Now, yeah, the players got to block better, but also, like, you got to come up with a scheme. You got to be more creative in the run game. Like, we can break down some of the runs that they have when we come back and some of the predictable runs that they've had, right? So this game is massive to the Saints' future. If you win it, okay, you live another week. Now go get another one and go get another one, right? If you don't and changes aren't made, that's a shame because changes need to be made. You have too much right now invested in this. You have too many young players to not put a better product out there. So this game, it's against a one-win team in Carolina, but make no mistake about it, it's going to be key to the future of the New Orleans Saints. All right, we went incredibly long. We'll go ahead and take a break, play a little catch-up. When we come back here, it is OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, go to GordonGibbs.com, GordonGibbs.com. Now, if you missed it, Alexandria, Lafayette, Lake Charles, Monroe, Shreveport, that deadline was November the 30th. But make sure that you pay attention to see if you were a winner of one of the 488 bikes that Gordon McKernan was giving away here during this holiday season. But if you are here in Baton Rouge or the Hammond area, remember, you still got a couple of days. In fact, you do have exactly a couple of days. December the 7th is that deadline. So go to GordonGibbs.com. Over on the right side of that webpage, enter for your chance to win. Name, your age, bike size, different bike sizes, obviously, because you're going to have different children, different ages, different sizes. So they even allow you to choose the bike size there. Follow @GetGordon on all major social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram for more information as well. But one more time, 2 more days, GordonGibbs.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, party plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Brian Kelly meets with reporters to update bowl prep and the portal latest. And Sean Salisbury joins us. It's AFR 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
OTB OT with Hester and T-Bob on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 94.7 ESPN Alexandria.
All right, welcome back in OTB. We hadn't talked about the college football playoff today. We were about to get to that, but real quick, I said I would kind of give you an update on some of these Saints runs against the Lions. Or actually, let's go last 3 weeks. 65 runs, 13 outside zones, 11 inside zones, 10 man concepts, 7 powers, 4 counters, 6 draws, 8 pull leads. Let's see if they got any more runs, like 4 kind of trick runs, reverses, different things. So the Saints are trying different runs, but outside zone being their lead run should never be the case. If you want to see how to run outside zone, watch Missouri. Watch Cody Schrader. If you want to see how not to run outside zone, watch the Saints. That's the run that I'm talking about where I don't know where to tell Alvin Kamara to run. And it's their lead run. Now, they are spreading the wealth, and some of that comes because, like the power runs, you got 7 of them, 4 counters. I would bet those are all almost Taysom Hill, right? Q power, Q counter. Don't do things that you're not good at, right? Now, you might want to be a good outside zone team. You're not. It's factual. Like if I kind of change the tabs on this, I clear all, I add the entire season. Yeah, by far your lead run. 413 runs. You've run it 126 times, 31% of your runs. The next closest is inside zone, which you're not really great at either, 16%. I think the Saints are actually better when they come right at you. When you have a struggling offensive line, it's always been my belief that if you have more man schemes, power counter, different things like that, you're better. It kind of takes out the gray area. It allows you to be more physical, allows you to play faster. Now, you can't just do man schemes. I get that part of it, but it needs to be your lead runs. Now, it's not where the NFL is gone. It's not where college football is at, but it needs to be where you're at because you have more success when you run those runs. And a lot of that is with Taysom Hill, and so maybe that kind of clouds it a bit. But your offensive line, when you watch the tape, now you have an extra blocker. I get it, but I'm just talking about the fit, the individual fit on who they're supposed to block. It takes the gray area out. It's not ideal. You want to be able to run anything, but you know what? You can't. You're not good at it. But you can be good at man schemes because you've been, I think, much better success rate in man schemes. And so I'd say something to pay attention to, but I have no faith that the Saints will actually run some more of those man schemes. I think they're going to continue to run those outside, inside zones and more outside zone than anything else.
Just 2 huge pet peeves I have from just watching broadcasting Saints games in the run game. Number 1, stop running an option with Derek Carr, short side or long side of the field. I just feel like that's not going to give you much of a leg up. And then whenever they do these double reverses, sometimes they'll fake a handoff to Derek Carr, which is also 100% wasted motion. Ain't nobody falling for that.
Yeah, I know.
It's like when they run the Wildcat and they line the quarterback up out wide. I'm like,
why are you out there?
Take him out. Take him out of the game.
Certainly, certainly for the Saints because of Taysom being in the huddle, like you kind of can't, predict what they're going to do, so you don't need the quarterback even in the huddle.
Yeah,
He
like,
can be the quarterback. He can be out wide, and
Derek Carr,
AK can be the wildcat guy.
Why are you faking anything to Derek Carr? If you're running that play, why is he in the field?
I don't.
Why is he in there?
Yeah,
nonsense.
Couple of play. I mean, the run plays like, Lynn Bowden played basically quarterback, running back, receiver at Kentucky, and you tried a couple things like double revert. Like, no, like if you want to have Lynn Bowden, by the way, it's Bowden, not Bowden for every announcer. Lynn Bowden, like just line him up in the backfield. Let him do some other things. You obviously want to get him the ball in the run game. Like, it doesn't have to be 6 different handoffs that ends up on the ground and potentially somebody else jumping on the fumble. But anyways, okay, that is enough Saints run game, because that is not a good vibe. And this isn't going to be a good vibe for Florida State fans, but I think it's really, really well said by Dan Mullen. And so, again, I know this happened over the weekend. I know it led the show yesterday. It led the nation yesterday. It led the nation on Sunday night. But I'm just getting a chance to see this video. I saw the transcript, didn't see the video until today. I think some great points here. Here is Dan Mullen talking about Florida State not getting into the college football playoff.
The Wildcat with their third string guy. So the committee is looking at, especially I think that Florida game, and saying that, okay, this is what we have to make a determination on. What happened in that game? And based on the totality of where Florida State is now, is Florida State one of the 4 best teams? And I think what they decided, if not in these words, is this concept. Florida State showed in those 2 games that they're basically Iowa right now. They have great defense, suspect offense.
Well, the same day you're talking about this Florida State game, the Alabama team, who we just shoved right in, they're the greatest thing of all times, played an Auburn team who had been absolutely boat raced by New Mexico State. I mean, embarrassed by New Mexico State the week before, and needed an absolute miracle to beat an extremely below average Auburn team. And so, but I guess I'm sorry, that was not with their backup and third string quarterback. That was with Jalen Milroe, who is like, has to be, Jalen Milroe is the guy. They could barely win that game. So I think, to me, and it gets into the biggest thing, and I love the criteria. The criteria is the best team. Well, how do you find the best team? Okay, the best team subjectively, well, it was already done. The best team yesterday going in, Georgia was the #1 ranked team. Okay, so the committee thought they're the best team. They're the best. Like, we don't need to see a game. They're the best. Okay, because it's subjectively. Las Vegas had them as a big favorite. Subjectively, they're the best. Objectively, we went and played a game. And when you played the game, oh, lo and behold, maybe they're not the best team. In the movies, the hero always wins. The best team, who we subjectively think is the best team in college sports, doesn't always win. Maybe who you think is the best team doesn't always win. So in the game of football, what makes it so special is you have to play the game. And when you play the game, someone wins and someone loses. And if you play it 10 times, it might be different. But in college football, you get to play it once usually. You play the game, someone wins, someone loses. And you know what Florida State did? All they did was win. Win, win, win.
That is incredibly well said by Dan Mullen. That's all they did. They won every game that was in front of them, including against LSU, right? Including at night in the swamp with a backup quarterback, all right? Including a true freshman in an ACC championship game. And Trevor Maddich, that's the other guy's name, right? Don't ever tell me that Florida State's Iowa again like that. Look, I love Iowa. I love 3 yards in a cloud of dust. It's who I am. I get it. I love it. Don't disrespect Florida State like that. They're not Iowa. Are you kidding me? Iowa doesn't have a Trey Benson on their roster. They don't have a Keon Coleman on their roster. They don't have a Johnny Wilson on their roster. They don't have a Jaheim Bell on their roster. They certainly have a good defense, but they ain't got those Jimmys and Joes. They ain't got a Jerry Verse on that roster. Ain't no way, ain't no how. That is highly disrespectful. Tate Rodemaker could be Iowa's best quarterback of all time, potentially, if he was there. Florida State's not Iowa. Don't pay, like ESPN, okay, we know what you got to say. Good for Dan Mullen. Good for Dan Mullen for saying what everybody wants to say. It is played on the field. Every single swinging soul told me that Oregon was going to hammer Washington, right? T-Bob's betting guy that he always, my betting guy. Well, he's told me that Oregon State was going to beat Washington. They didn't. He told us that Oregon was going to beat Washington. They didn't. okay, because it's played on the field. It's decided on the field. It's our 22 versus your 22. Let's go see. And Washington went out there, and I know we got to take a break. Washington went out there, and they beat Oregon for a second time, and Vegas told us they were going to lose by 10. Do not bring Vegas into the college football playoff picture again, okay? Vegas gets it right a lot, but they surely get it wrong too. And they give you the point spreads, and, oh, well, Florida State played this team, maybe minus 12.5. I don't care. Florida State won every single game that they played. And it's it's almost maddening to see people try to explain it away because, you know, they want the TV numbers to be a little bit different than they will be. All right, we got to take a break. We'll take that break now. More OTB when we come back.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, go to allstartoyotaofbatonrouge.com, allstartoyotaofbatonrouge.com. And no matter what you're looking for, they have got you covered. They have a vehicle that would fit your needs, your family needs, anybody's needs. And it's available in every single process. So if you have a desire to get a new vehicle, well, you can go and you can check that out. Actually, you can build your Toyota on that website that Taylor's showing you on YouTube. You can build it right there on that site. You can add, you can take away. If there's a feature like, hey, you know what? I'm not going to use that. It doesn't help me. Well, you can take that feature away. It is whatever you want. T-Bob got the murdered out Mini. He wanted black on black on black, so that's what he got. You could do that in the new feature if you want to lease. That's what I do with the Highlander, right? Incredibly easy process. You can go check out the full fleet. It's available in all it's just, you're not going to find that most places. Like if you're leasing, if you're renting, everything's available. Like a lot of times when you go rent a vehicle, there's like 3 options, right? That's not the case over at All-Star. Check out those per day rental prices on their website. It's right there actually on the homepage. Go see them off Airline Highway as well. allstartoyotaofbatonrouge.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206.
Voisin inviting you to join us Wednesday night at 6 for Louisiana Prep Weekly. We'll be live from Walk-Ons in Zachary with our special guest, Zachary head football coach David Brewerton. It's Louisiana Prep Weekly, Wednesday night at 6 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
OTB OT with Hester and T-Bob on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 94.7 ESPN Alexandria.
Fantastic song. If you've never been to Graceland in December to check out the blue Christmas lights, I would say that you need to go check that out. Now, I can't really advise anything else in Memphis, but I can tell you Graceland because I've been there probably like 8 times in my life, maybe even more. It is worth something to check out. And tomorrow might be all Elvis Christmas music. Nice job there. Mario, I want to tell you about our friends over at Juveme Medical, or juvememedical.com is that website. Get that consultation set up a couple of different ways. You can do it on the homepage, top right corner. You can call 844-951-2734. You can text them at 225-442-0646. That is the text number there. Get that consultation set up. You might be dealing with something and you don't know what it is. You can't get to the bottom of it. Well, they can get to the bottom of it over at Rejuve Medical. Restore me, refuel me, rejuva me. Real quick segment here. Bad clock management. Look, not my fault. Les Miles' fault. Willie Fritz, we talked about it yesterday. He takes the job at Houston. Disappointed? Yes. I think Tulane right now is a better football team than Houston. If they played 10 times, I think Tulane would win 8 of those games. I truly believe that. But I understand why you make this move. And it's not a slight at Tulane. I think Tulane right now has some real juice. And I think they are going to be able to bring in a head coach that kind of is different than anybody else they've really ever brought in. Like even a Willie Fritz. Like Willie was like wanting to go from Georgia Southern, and that was a big step for him, and he did fantastic. But I think they're going to be in a position because of what Willie did to bring in somebody special. But when you look at his career, right, he's at Blinn College, okay, and then he goes to Central Missouri. Now, successful everywhere he's been. He goes back to Sam Houston State where he was a position coach. Then he goes to Georgia Southern, okay, then he goes to Tulane. What do all of those places have in common? Well, some are lower level, some are, junior colleges. None of those teams and programs is in the Power 5. And it is what it is. Unfortunately, Tulane loses him to Houston, and Tulane was going to pony up. $4.5 million was the report that they were ready to offer Willie Fritz. But I can understand why Willie Fritz would want to go test the waters in the Power 5 in a place like Houston. Like, Houston's got money. Houston's got resources. Houston is like a hotbed of high school football. You could like stay in a 30-mile radius and build a hell of a roster at Houston. Now you have to go steal players from other places, but it can be done at Houston. So unfortunate because I wanted Willie Fritz to be a lifer there for the Green Wave, but Mario, I think we all understand why he did it.
Yeah, I mean, the two things I'll say is Houston is also a really great stepping stone. When you think about Kevin Sumlin and Tom Herman, guys that ultimately got bigger opportunities, so maybe that could be on the horizon for Willie Fritz. And for Tulane, I hope it's not a situation like UL where they had a lot of success with one coach. That coach leaves, and it kind of all goes to crud. So, like you said, hopefully they can get somebody good.
Any thoughts there, Taylor?
I get it. Tulane is a better football program right now, but I think that's due to Willie Fritz. I mean, first off, Houston's moving up to the Power 5. Even if they weren't, you'd be hard-pressed to find people to be like, what's a better program and what's a better job, Tulane or Houston? 10 out of 10 are usually going to choose Houston. I get it. Again, they are going up to the Power 5. Also, the Big 12, like, while it's a Power 5, it's also going to be very winnable. I mean, he can turn that thing around in 2 to 3 years, and he could be competing for that spot with the college football playoff expanding to 12 teams. I mean, he's going to have a shot to compete for that year in and year out. I understand the move completely.
Yeah, remember, Dana Holgerson left a Power 5 job
Yeah,
to
he
go
left
to
West
Houston
Virginia
at the time, who was not in
Which that
the Power
always
5.
confused me.
So, okay, it's a place that people have certainly, coveted to be a place that they think they can win, and they can win big. So, look, hate that Willie Fritz is not going to be coaching Tulane. I truly do, but all the luck in the world to Willie Fritz. I think he's one of the best guys we have in the business. All right, let's take our last break. I think it's the last break. Again, clock management all over the place today. Do apologize for that. Let's take that break. Ask the Bench, brought to you by Cold Coors Light, Vizzy Hard Seltzer, Blue Moon, Light Sky, Citrus Sweet. When we come back here on OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Step inside an Infiniti QX50, and you'll find a suite of driver-focused features tailored to your tastes. But most of all, you'll find luxury that lets you feel infinitely you. Visit your local Infiniti retailer today.
Life in Louisiana is a song. A symphony of sound, colors, and movement. Life is here. Now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find them on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance shops, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
Join me
for a Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Glenn West talking Tigers, and apparently the Pelicans are in the semis of some tournament I never heard of. We'll ask Sharif about it. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, you chipmunks. Ready to sing your song?
I'll say we are. Yeah, let's sing it now.
Okay, Simon?
Okay.
Okay, Theodore?
Okay.
Okay, Alvin? Alvin?
OTB OT with Hester and T-Bob on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 94.7 ESPN
I
Alexandria.
want to remind you to go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app. You want to play that pontoon parlay, DraftKings Sportsbook app. Promo code Baton Rouge. NBA season's here, so you put in that promo code Baton Rouge your first time sign up, and you bet $5 on the NBA, you get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Y'all, that is the DraftKings Sportsbook app. And remember, if you're a returning customer, they got all kinds of great game day deals going down for you every single NFL game day. So join up with the boys on the pontoon parlay on DraftKings. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537. Must be 21 or older. Physically present in Louisiana. Select parishes only. Licensee partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms.
All right, welcome back in. Ask the Bench brought to you by our Cool-Coors Light, Vizzy Arts, Blue Moon, Light Sky, Citrus Wheat, Catholic High, or Acadiana.
Acadiana. Let's go, Wrecking Rams.
I'll go Catholic High because my brother coaches there, and,
All right,
I'll keep it in
I'm
the
the
family.
split decision. I'll go Acadiana.
Rustin or Zachary is the other question.
Zachary, because Rustin had that coach that sent kids to the hospital.
Forgot about that.
Is it who we think's gonna win?
Yeah,
Rustin.
Y'all know me. I don't know high school football outside of a couple of places. Zachary's always good, but if I'm gonna stay on brand, I'll go 318. I'll go Rustin. Ask the Bench, should fullbacks be expelled from the Football Hall of Fame in Canton as is no longer viable or needed position in the sport? Pedro, you're banned for the rest of eternity from the chat. How dare you disrespect fullbacks? It's going to do it for today. Be back tomorrow. Again, no T-Bob all week, but I'll be back. Mario will be back. Taylor will be back. And Flynn Flestring will be back.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
I've been doing business